All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 283 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be with us, whether you were live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing. We want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us this time. As you can tell, got a little hoarse voice going on right now. The Mother Nature's trying to take me out right now from doing this show, but you know what? We prevail. We have a great time. Trevor's alongside me to help carry this bad boy today. We also have a great guest coming up today, guys. I hope you guys are ready for this one because it's been a while since we've had a guest on the show because you guys know during the regular season, we want to get as many thoughts on this show as much as possible. Your guys' thoughts as well. Trevor's thoughts, my thoughts, and anybody else that's involved in the show. As many thoughts as possible and opinions on the show as possible. Well, we try to get some good guests on here whenever we can and whenever these other guys are available. It's hard because I know a lot of people are busy on Saturdays with their families. But every once in a while, we have some friends that are nice enough to join us on a Saturday. And we have our guy, Steven Williams from All Chiefed Up that will be joining us momentarily, guys. So I hope you're ready because, as you guys know, All Chiefed Up, they do incredible work over there at their website, on their YouTube channel, and everywhere else. They're very interactive, community-driven guys. Awesome Chiefs fans, awesome dudes all together, great friends of ours. And we're looking forward to having Steven on here to give his thoughts on everything Chiefs-related, football-related today, so be ready for that. As you guys know, we're going to give you guys our thoughts, our opinions, our preview and prediction of the upcoming game of every single week the Chiefs have, and this week it is Bengals week. We know that's something that a lot of Chiefs fans look forward to every single week, every single year. This has become what most would consider a rivalry of sorts over the last 2 to 3 years for the Chiefs, but I have some takes on that as well before we get to our predictions. You guys know that we obviously at the top of every single show, we say at the bottom of every single show, that we want you guys to be a part of this show every single week, which is why we ask that you guys go to YouTube right now, go to the Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, notify, share, all that stuff. That all helps us out big time, and we couldn't do it without you guys, and we're very grateful for every single one of you that have done it to this point. But we want you guys to get into the live chat today. If you'd be so kind, jump into the live chat today. Give us your takes, comments, concerns, questions, whatever you guys have. Because quite frankly, I need you guys to help me lead the show today because my voice is absolutely killing me. Felt a lot worse yesterday, feeling a lot better today. But I need you guys to help me out today because I definitely want to get your guys' thoughts today more than ever. And you guys know we hand out some L's at the beginning of the end of every single show, as we always do. If you guys have L's, join in. Give us some L's to put out there at the end. It doesn't have to just be Trevor and I. Put some L's out there as well. We'll put them on the show. We'll just have fun today, guys. That's what it's all about. And you guys know that we always start the show off with the one and only Lance Rants. Before we get to that, Trevor, how the hell are you doing this week, man? How's everything that's led into this Saturday, man?
Oh man, it's been a long week per usual. It hasn't been too hot, so thank God I haven't had to deal with the heat. The heat is slowly but surely kind of dissipating, but overall, man, solid week. Made some money this week. Looking forward to chopping it up with you today, and then maybe putting together some bets for Sunday tomorrow. And looking forward to maybe possibly making some money.
Money sounds fun. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Beating these Bengals.
I did that last week. I hope we can do that again this week. But Trev, I think it's time, dude. Without further ado, the people are waiting. They've been waiting all week. It is time for Lance Rants. So this first week of football, I try not to overreact too quickly to the NFL season, like most national media already is, where they're already talking about Josh Allen as the front runner for MVP. We're not even 2 weeks into the season, and we're already talking MVPs. That to me is jumping the shark. That to me is jumping way ahead of where we're at. I think you have to wait till at least week 10, week 11 for you to start talking about MVPs. That's just my personal opinion. Other people might see it differently. But I do think that you can look at week 1 results and see that this could be a precursor of what's to come for certain teams. And a lot of that's going to lead into what I have going on with this Chiefs and Bengals matchup. Before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm looking around the rest of the NFL, not just in Kansas City, because we focus a lot on the Chiefs. You guys know that. That's what the majority of what this show is about. This is what we talk about the most. So I have to not forcibly, but make sure that I am consistently paying attention to everything else around the Chiefs and what goes on here in Kansas City, because even though we feel very confident that the Chiefs are the class of the AFC, the class of the NFL, quite frankly, there are other teams that are constantly chomping at the bit, that are constantly coming for the crown. And I want to pay attention to who those teams might be. But we also have to pay attention to the teams that aren't. And I think that we had some interesting matchups this week. I thought that the Lions-Rams game, just off the cuff here, just to start off, Trev, I felt like this could be a preview of the NFC Championship. The Rams are a team that I think, when healthy, are the best team in the NFC. I really believe that. I think that Matt Stafford is going to have one of his best seasons to date, even though he's a little bit older, and he's had some incredible years throughout his career. I do believe this is going to be an awesome season for Matt Stafford with the run game. Cooper Kupp finally healthy again. The problem, though, for the Rams, though, is they've already lost multiple offensive linemen.
Yep.
They've already lost Puka Nacua for a month.
Could be longer.
It's a knee injury, so you never know with those. They're very unpredictable. And several quarterbacks. So the Rams are already out the gate are battling. They're battling to make do. And their schedule isn't easy by any means, but I do believe they're still very much a playoff team. And I think they're going to take care of business this week against the Cardinals. We'll see how that goes, because the Cardinals have an electric offense. The Lions showed me some weaknesses. I felt like Jared Goff, although I really do like Jared Goff, I think he's a top 10 quarterback in this league when protected, showed that when everything isn't going perfectly for Jared Goff, he leaves a lot of opportunities out there on the field for the other team to beat him. And I think this Lions team showed early this year that they can be beat, even at home, even in an electric game like that mattered to that fan base, because Matt Stafford was coming back. It's an NFC matchup. It's week 1. Everyone's pumped up, ready to go. There's Super Bowl aspirations for this team. I felt like they kind of underwhelmed. They were up 17-3 at one point, and the Rams came back and were up 20-17 with 3 minutes to go. That is a testament to the Rams, but I also think that's something we got to pay attention to with the Lions. A couple of other matchups, man. Trevor was bigger on the Cowboys this year than I was. I don't have the Cowboys in the playoffs, still don't.
That's crazy.
But they put on a show against this Browns team that I'm actually big on. They went in there in Cleveland and whooped some ass. Dak Prescott looked fantastic. You guys know me. I'm a big Dak guy. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in this league. He deserved every penny he got with that new extension that made him the highest paid quarterback of all time. But I still think the Cowboys showed, though, that unless they're creating with CeeDee Lamb on jet sweeps and throwing the ball downfield, they don't really have a lot else out there for them to rely on. And they have zero run game. So unless they're facing Deshaun Watson every week, who just absolutely just craps down his leg every single week now, I am worried about the Cowboys still. I think they still have flaws and weaknesses offensively. I do question Mike McCarthy's game management, because even in this game he had some problems. And again, unless Micah Parsons is turning into TJ Watt, I do worry about their secondary. I do worry about their linebackers. And I think that it's going to be a long year for both of these teams, the Cowboys and Browns. But all credit to the Cowboys and what they did. They go, like I said, week 1 on the road, hostile environment, and Dak put on a show for those first couple of quarters. So I'll give them credit.
How do you feel about because the Cowboys play the Saints this week?
Yeah. Oh, no. Cowboys are going to whoop their ass.
Okay, because they're -6 favorites. I think they cover that.
Yeah, no. Last 16 home games, regular season.
The Saints week 1 game against the Panthers was
they blew their load against a bad.
I will say they look better, and they were doing a lot more different things this year with the new offensive coordinator over there for Derek Carr, to kind of a lot of more play actions and pre-snap motion stuff. That was good to see for the Saints.
Yeah, I will give the Saints credit for week 1, but I think that game had more to do with who the Panthers are than who the Saints are.
I think it was a combination of just both things going really, really right for one team and
Right.
really, really wrong for
Derek
another.
Carr looked like Peyton Manning out there.
You know,
man.
we've seen good
diamond.
teams lose games like that where it just got out of control.
Right.
Just like the Raiders game for the Chiefs last year. You know, those things got out of control for us. We were the better team, but things just.
Well, and to your point about the
Panthers might be really bad, though.
Yeah, the point to your Cowboys and Saints question. The last 16 regular season games at home for the Cowboys, they're 16-0.
And Dak's incredible at home.
They average 35 points per game.
Yeah.
They allow 17 points per game, and their takeaway turnover differential is plus 19.
Yeah.
They're the most dominant home team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Which was why that Packers loss in the playoffs was so shocking.
Yeah, it was wild.
A couple other ones I want to talk to. This one actually hits home here in Kansas City. It's AFC West matchup. Chargers and Raiders. Yeah. Now, the Chargers won this game 22-10, and I'm already seeing John Harbaugh just getting gawked all over.
They should have lost that game, dude.
Look, you guys know I'm a Jim Harbaugh guy. I love Jim Harbaugh. I think he's the weirdest fucker out there. I think he's an awesome head coach. He is, man. I
love that guy,
though. Love the dude. Super eccentric, just himself. Yeah. Football savant. Like I call him
on the spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the Larry Brown of football. Like he really is. I think he can win at both levels. But I think this game, kind of like what I talk about with the Panthers and Saints, I think that had more to do with the Raiders. I think that game showed that the Raiders are a really bad team. Because if you look at it, like J.K. Dobbins is a guy that's had more injuries than most teams, and this guy ran all over that team. Now, I know Greg Roman style, Jim Harbaugh style, they love to run the ball. So they're going to run the ball no matter what. But how limited this Chargers offense is, how limited this Chargers defense is with Bosa already hurt again. Joey Bosa already hurt again. Yep. Khalil Mack's still a stud, but their defense isn't great. They looked like a Super Bowl team against this Raiders team at portions of this game. Justin Herbert wasn't really doing anything, and it didn't matter. So I felt like it was more about the Raiders and who they're not than who the Chargers actually are.
Yeah.
So no offense.
Outside of J.K. Dobbins, the Chargers did not look like a solid offense by any means.
I saw better fight from Raiders fans in the stands than I saw from the Raiders on the field.
Brawls. I seen Shaggy Shane's post showing all the different clips from that one game. That was like a week's worth of fights at one game. That was insane. Cali people, come on now. Yeah. That was rough.
Yeah, it was bad, man. It was And then, look, I'm not big on the Bills this year. I'm still not. They continue to lose defensive players, but I'm going to give them credit, believe it or not. They had a shootout week 1 against the Cardinals. Cardinals, I think, did choke the game away. How you don't target Marvin Harrison, or he had 1 reception, I think, 0 in the second half, and he was wide open for a touchdown. Kyler Murray absolutely, I think, just beefed that one. Having said that, though, they go and turn around on a short week, go into Miami against an offense that can score against anybody, and the Bills took it to them. Yeah. James Cook was unbelievable. Scored 3 touchdowns in the first half.
I really like what the Bills are doing with their offense, man.
Yeah. Now, I don't think this is going to last because, again, they have too many injuries. They're going to catch up to them.
That defense is still good, man. That scheme, they've been scheming the hell. It was incredible. I mean, the whole game plan, defensively and offensively. Yeah. I like that they're taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, not making him do too much because he becomes mistake prone when he tries to do too much. He's incredible, but when he has to play superhero all the time, you lean on that run game, man. That offensive line has been playing really well, and man, yeah, I'm very impressed with they can steal this division if they keep this up.
100% agree.
I honestly believe that.
100% agree, and that's actually the next game I was going to talk about. But I wanted to throw that out there though. I'm going to give the Bills credit. They're 2-0, 2 very different games. They smoked the Dolphins. Obviously, we wish the best for Tua Tagovailoa. The speculation of whether he's going to retire or not. Yet that I believe in player safety, and I believe that if you have a myriad of concussions, you probably should consider retirement. I don't believe Tua is going to retire. I believe he will play at some point either later this year or next season. I think because of the fact he didn't suffer concussion in 2023, it built him some goodwill with himself and the team and the NFL that he can withstand the rigors of the NFL. This really sucked. It was ironic as hell that he collided with DeMar Hamlin of all people for this to happen. But
simulation's a strange one.
Very strange one, man. So we wish him nothing but health, man. I want us to make sure that Tua is healthy to help raise his 2 kids and live his life with his wife.
Yeah.
Make your money, sure, man. And enjoy the game you play, but at the end of the day, there's so much bigger things than just football. But yeah, give the Bills credit for winning 2 very different styles of games in back-to-back weeks. We'll see how they continue this with all the injuries and influx of positions that they've had over this last 6 months. And finally, I do want to definitely talk about it, Trevor. Trevor and I both picked the Jets in that 49ers matchup because I felt very confident, especially without CMC, that the Jets defense was going to slow the Niners offense down just enough to give Aaron Rodgers multiple opportunities later in the game to score a couple touchdowns. I had it in a lower scoring game, 24-20, if I'm not mistaken. But I definitely didn't expect the Niners to score on 8 consecutive drives. Now, I think
that was before we knew Christian McCaffrey was out.
Right.
So
right.
It's pretty crazy, man. Yeah.
That was before, of course. There was 8 consecutive drives they scored, but I think like 5 or 6 of them were field goals.
Yep.
So the Jets defense didn't play terrible, but Jordan Mason ran all over them. 147 yards. First start ever of his career. I thought Brock Purdy was sharp. He wasn't great, but he was sharp.
Playing point guard out there, man.
But I will say on the Jets side of things, even though they lost the game, I thought Aaron Rodgers looked good.
He did look good.
He had one bad pass that ended up being a tip-drilled interception. But outside of that, the Al Lazar free play was accurate.
Yeah.
Hit Garrett Wilson multiple times in those intermediate slant patterns. I thought Breece Hall was fine. I thought the offensive line, even though they were going to be against such a nasty front seven,
outside that fumble, Breece Hall looked good. The turnovers is what fucked the Jets, honestly.
Exactly.
I think they swung the momentum of the game.
Exactly. So this was a shitty matchup for them week 1. I was confident. Like I said, I thought they were going to win the game. Yeah. They didn't. They ended up getting beat pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I think this game told us that both these teams are legit, believe it or not. I didn't leave that game with the Jets thinking, they're going to suck. I still think they're an 11-12 win team.
Yeah.
I just think that the Niners just outplayed them.
They need to figure out the Hassan Reddick situation because they need that guy out there badly because they were getting gashed in the running game, which I did not expect because they were stacking the box and the Niners were still overpowering them. That was embarrassing. The Jets defense was not as good, and the Sauce got a little banged up a little bit too in the game. So that defense is going to have better days, but my God, Kyle Shanahan coached his ass off in that game, dude.
That's what I'm talking about. Masterclass.
Jeez,
Absolute
it was
masterclass.
insane. Yeah.
It's almost like, and
Debo
I heard somebody
all over the place.
Maybe it was Trey Aikman that said it on the call. It was genius when he said it. Whoever it was, but it was almost like Kyle Shanahan was almost excited that CMC wasn't playing,
dude.
Because it's like I get an opportunity to show y'all that I can do this with anybody.
Those 40 touches can go elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Jordan Mason was an undrafted kid, looks awesome in that offense. I mean, but Debo was a beast, man.
Well,
Debo was all over the place.
There's only 2 coaches in the NFL I take over Kyle Shanahan. Yeah. It's Andy Reid and Sean McVay.
I'm right there with you.
And the only reason I take those 2 is, one, Andy Reid's been consistently in the playoffs. He's won multiple Super Bowls. He's been the most consistent head coach of the last 15, 20 years outside of Bill Belichick. And then Sean McVay.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude is an absolute genius. He's been to the Super Bowl multiple times. He won one of them. I think you have to give that over.
He's in his 30s still. Yeah. The guy can go down as the greatest coach of all time if he continues to.
When you can take a team to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
I mean, Shanahan deserves a lot of praise. I think this week
insane.
one had a lot to do with him because he had a lot of his veterans that had just reported back to camp. Trent Williams just got his extension.
Yeah, man.
Debo's been banged up. Ayuk just got signed.
I was going to say the game could have been more of a blowout because Ayuk dropped a touchdown.
Right.
And they settled for a field goal in that drive.
Right.
So if Ayuk catches that, they could have won by 25 plus points. That would have been outside of it. And then the Jets score a garbage time touchdown that really was meaningless with Tyrod Taylor out there. It was a bad game for the Jets.
I'll be really tell me what you think on this, Trevor. I actually think that the NFC is going to be more interesting this year than the AFC.
Well, it's more open.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This is why I like the Cowboys because there's not a lot of competition for the teams that are top heavy, in my opinion. That's why I like the Cowboys because they're so loaded with talent, and I just believe them. They were there last year and they fell short, and it was embarrassing for them. And I love the Rams. Obviously, still I think that there's a lot of trouble over there right now, but I believe in the coaching staff and Stafford. But yeah, the NFC is it's wide open for anybody to take it. I think the Niners really established themselves as maybe the best team right now over there. They looked the best out of all the NFC teams, in my opinion. I know the Eagles had a good game, but the Eagles also allowed a shit ton of points to the Packers. So if that defense continues to get funneled in the passing game and they keep getting shredded out there, teams are going to take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
So I think the Niners, as far as week 1 goes, and there's always overreactions to week 1, without McCaffrey, I think they showed that they are still the best team in the NFC at the moment, and especially with the Lions looking pretty lackluster as a team as a whole, honestly, because Amon-Ra didn't do much. Laporta was a no-show, but Jameis Williams,
he looked good.
He looks awesome. Yeah.
Now, shout out to the chat. I want to give out some shout outs real quick before we move on. Dustin Horton jumped in earlier. Said he's going to be out with the family in the pumpkin patch.
I got your questions in there, man. We'll get to them.
So definitely revisit the show later on, brother, and we'll get those answered for you. Ruben de Cruz is in. Max Watson's in. Bubba BB's in.
Yep.
James T. Kirk.
Hey, James, you're on time today, baby.
I
Let's
can't
go.
believe it, man. He usually shows up last hour. No, but Ruben's always in here. We love and support. We love and respect all you guys. Thanks for being here. Tell your friends to join us today, guys, because we want to definitely talk more football today with everybody. Because, like I said, my voice is definitely hurting today, guys. But we powered through. So you guys know that we got some unfortunate news yesterday, Trevor. We go ahead and put that up on the screen. According to Jordan Schultz, yesterday at about, I want to say 10:30 in the morning, we got this report. It says, sources, the Chiefs are placing wide receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown on IR, and he will undergo surgery to repair his dislocated SC joint. After multiple imaging studies, it was determined that although Hollywood felt better, his injury was not healing correctly. Without corrective surgery, he would risk a more serious long-term injury. The surgery is scheduled for Monday with Dr. Peter Millett in Vail, Colorado, and the Chiefs will monitor his rehab progress throughout the season. My first initial reaction was, well, damn. This Hollywood experience we were supposed to have here in Kansas City exactly isn't picture perfect to this point, but and it sucks more than anything because I was really looking forward to seeing Patrick Mahomes and Hollywood Brown pick up where they left off in training camp. Because you saw that Jacksonville preseason game, Patrick was targeting Hollywood Brown and he was getting him some early touches. Yeah. I think that's intentional because I really believe that Patrick and Hollywood had a very good. There's a good chemistry and connection between those two guys, and he was intentionally trying to get him in rhythm because I think they wanted to use him early and often this year because I think they want to get him paid. And quite frankly, I think he'd play a nice big pivotal role in the Chiefs three-peating this year.
Of course.
But I also, maybe it's just me being so much more optimistic than I was a year ago about this wide receiver room, Trevor, but I also said, oh, well, I guess, the next couple of months, Mahomes will have to just rely on live with relying on, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Isaiah Pacheco, Juju Smith-Schuster, Noah Gray, Samaje Perine, McCole Hardman, because that group of skill players is so much better than what they had a year ago.
Yeah,
so much better.
I still think the Samaje Perine signing is still underrated.
Underrated for sure.
Yeah.
But there are rumors, Trevor. Even with I am happy. Let me make this official. I am happy with what the Chiefs have right now.
Yeah.
Even with Hollywood hurt.
Yeah.
I am happy with the skill positions, believe it or not. I think they have depth. But there are rumors, Trevor. I don't know if you saw this morning or not. There are rumors that Browns wide receiver Amari Cooper could be coming available. And you know how much of a fan I am of Amari's.
I mean...
And here's the thing. Got to give credit where credit's due.
It's a C for me.
And credit to Chris Clark NFL from Locked On Chiefs. He broke this down yesterday, and it makes sense for the Chiefs. Actually, it makes a lot of sense. If we could put that up there real quick too, Trevor, his tweet. He said, Chris Clark NFL, could Amari Cooper make sense for KC? He has a cap number of $8.7 million for Cleveland, but most of that is prorated signing bonus. His salary for 24 is only $1.2 million.
We've got, $6+ million right now?
I mean, and they can move Juwan Taylor. They can restructure Juwan Taylor and open up more money.
Yeah.
There's other moves. Joe Tootie's contract they can mess with. So much about this move makes sense for the Chiefs. But what would the Browns demand in return? That's the question I have to ask. Now, Amari's 31 now?
29, 30, I think.
29. I think he's in his 30s now. Regardless, He's still I love Amari Cooper. I think he's still a top 12, 15 receiver in this league. So obviously the Browns would want something in return because they're still expecting to contend this year. So if they're giving up a top 10 to 15 quarterback or wide receiver in the league, they're going to demand.
He's 30.
He's 30. Okay, yeah. So prime of his life, prime of his career. I would believe
had a good year last year overall, considering what he dealt with.
Yeah. I would imagine the Browns would demand at least a couple mid-round picks. Would the Chiefs be willing to entertain a third-round pick for Amari Cooper, a third and a fifth?
I'd rather pluck somebody from a bad team like the Giants. The Giants have a lot of good young receivers over there, like a Darius Slayton, a guy that can stretch the field, who's honestly better than he's given credit for because he's on a shitty offense.
Yeah.
Or a Hyatt. They have some young guys over there in the Giants. I know we've had bad luck with getting Giants receivers, but But yeah, I mean, Cooper would be great, but I'm not willing to give up those picks, in my opinion, for Cooper, bro, to be honest with you.
Well, I ran a poll, if we could put that up there as well.
Gotcha.
It wasn't specifically about Amari Cooper, but ironically, I posted this before we heard about Amari Cooper yesterday. I said, do the Chiefs need to sign trade for a wide receiver?
Yeah.
As you can clearly tell, Trevor, over 640 votes, 66% of people said no.
So this was before Hollywood?
No, this was after Hollywood's news.
Okay.
And before we heard about the possibility of Amari Cooper.
Gotcha.
So I was just basically just throwing that out there. Hey, guys, would you want to trade or sign another wide receiver to add to that room? Because if they don't, then you would imagine they're probably going to bring up Nico Remigio from the practice squad.
Yeah. Or
if they want to keep
Ross.
seven. They want to keep seven. Or Justin Ross. Yeah, that's fine. The point, though, is they're going to have to do something. Because, guys, we have to, and Trevor, you and I talked about this yesterday. We have to be prepared for with the possibility that we may never see Hollywood Brown in a Chiefs uniform.
I don't think he plays this year.
Now, I talked to Marcus Dash from Chief Concerns yesterday.
Yeah.
He believes, and this is fair, that even if Hollywood Brown doesn't take a snap this season, he believes the Chiefs and Hollywood Brown would come to an agreement to sign another one-year deal next season.
100%.
At like
I agree
$2
with
to
that.
$3 million a year,
I
or
agree
$2
with
to $3
that.
million for the year.
Yeah.
And I would be all on board.
He's still young enough to have another prove it deal.
He's 27,
Prove it year.
26, 26. Yeah. He's 26 years old.
And he's got to prove it because he's always been hurt, man.
Right.
This is the thing that's always dragged him down in his career. He was incredible in college. And then he went to the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, it was a bad situation for him because it wasn't a good pass-heavy offense, in my opinion, and just not a good fit. They tried. He got hurt a lot there too. He's been hurt everywhere, man. And he's got so much promise because he's a high upside player. But yeah, it sucks.
It does suck. And here's the thing, guys. Just because this happened doesn't mean that the Chiefs are going to suffer because of it. People say, you don't miss what you never had.
Yeah.
But I do believe the Chiefs brought Hollywood in here for a reason. It was because they wanted to stack this offense. So the offense isn't now as stacked. So this is why you have to ask the question, Trevor. For $1.2 million and a couple mid-round picks, would you go and get a top 12 wide receiver in the league as a rental?
I mean, I think this week is going to be a telling week. I think this is a game that we all really want to win. This is one of the few actual real rivalry games and teams that we have a real rivalry with in the league right now. And if Xavier Worthy has another big game here, I feel more okay with moving forward with what we got right now. But if he goes out there and he's kind of a dud and he gets shut down, or he just doesn't look as efficient as he was, because he couldn't be more efficient than he was in week one, with 2 touchdowns on 3 touches. I think Xavier Worthy, if he's like a guy that just hits the ground running and it just becomes a fun toy for Andy Reid, and he's ready to go, and he's kind of an early bloomer in the NFL, I think we're good, because he's such a dynamic talent, such a dynamic player. If he sticks and continues to do what he's doing and builds from the week one performance, I mean, I'm not expecting that every week to be that efficient. It's insane. But if he looks that good and he goes out here and balls out against the Bengals, I feel content with what we got right now. Maybe bring in another guy who's, because Juju's still going to get work. I think Juju could be good, but, he's still older, and his legs, his knees aren't that great anymore. So we can't really rely on Juju, but going to get, like I said, like a Darius Slayton from the Giants, or bringing another speedy guy like that can stretch the field on the outside with, Xavier Worthy, and let Rashid do his thing, because I think Rashid's going to have an all-time year either way. But for me, it really depends on how the progress of Xavier Worthy. I know it's a lot of pressure on the kid, but I think the vibe I get from Xavier Worthy, man, is he loves this. He wants this. He wants to be the guy here, I feel like. You know what I mean? And I think he didn't miss a beat, his first touches in the NFL. So if we could continue to build on that, he could be something. I'm content with what we have.
Well, we had some comments that I wanted to get to on this particular topic. Our guy Brent says, can't say I'm surprised by the Hollywood injury. He's been injured almost every season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man.
He said, I don't know. I want him on the team next season. He may just get hurt again. I'd rather them sign someone reliable, draft someone. That's fair.
Get him at a pretty big discount if he does stick around here, though.
Yeah, Bumpa BB, low risk, high reward. Get Mechie from Texans for a 7th round pick.
I don't hate that. Mechie's a good. They're deep over there too. Yeah, Mechie. Yeah, I would definitely. I mean, a 7th rounder. That'd be wild if we can get him for a 7th rounder, because you're not going to get a talent like that, in my opinion, in the 7th round. I think he went in like the 4th round when they had drafted him.
Right.
So that'd be nice.
I definitely want to hear from the chat though on this. Like, what's the next move, guys? We're a few minutes away, guys, from being joined by our guy Steven Williams and all chiefed up. He'll be here momentarily. Whenever he jumps in, we'll obviously just give him the floor. But kind of just want to take that opportunity right now and ask you guys a question. you guys ask us questions and speak, and I kind of want to ask the chat on this. Like, what should be the next move? We have a suggestion already. You know, our guy, Bumpa BB talks about Mechie. That's a realistic scenario.
He's buried in that roster. Definitely a talented guy, though. Like I said, like a Darius Slayton too, or like I said, those bad teams that have bad quarterbacks right now, but they have a lot of talent at wide receiver to try to like build around their bad quarterback and make them look better. There's teams out there, man, that we can find pieces.
Or do the Chiefs just promote from within?
Sure.
Like I said, does
guys that know the system already?
Does Regio come up? Does Ross come up?
I would love to see Nico to get his shot.
Yeah, I do too. And we have a lot of people that still believe in Ross. Is that the way the Chiefs go? Because these guys are familiar with the system. They can just walk right in. They may not be as talented as a guy out there like a Mechie, but maybe they just can walk right in and know what the rules, their role is, and understand what the team's looking for, and there be no confusion there.
Shit, is Brendan Rice still on the Chargers? I don't know.
No, he got cut.
That's wild, man.
I don't know where he's at now, but I know he got cut. Maybe he's on their practice squad now.
Probably.
Our guy Bubba BB, I think we get Slayton or Mechie. I think wanting Cooper is like D-Hop all over again. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Well, that would have been nice last
year. The only difference is that D-Hop was a free agent.
Well, D-Hop would have helped this team tremendously.
We all can agree if D-Hop
using that as a negative kind of works in our favor.
Right. And I think the only thing that's similar to them is their skill sets. They're both top tier receivers, but the availability for both is in a different context because Cooper you'd have to trade for, but his contract is so low. D-Hop was a guy that was looking for money.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, who's going to pay me most? And the Titans are willing to pay him the more, it's like $12-13 million a year.
Yeah. Our guy John Harrison chimes in. They have wide receivers. They have wide receivers with 3 pass catching tight ends and an addition of P. Ryan. I think they'll be fine. James T. Kirk. I personally think the Chiefs should stand pat at wide receiver. I would rather them try to make a play for Hassan Reddick if possible. We're not getting Hassan Reddick. I don't think that's happening.
So Trevor and I had a friend send us the link.
But I am in agreement with James there. I would definitely bring in Hassan over a receiver if that's possible.
But you and I don't know if you were reading the group text that we were having with our guy Jordan yesterday. We had our buddy sent us a link yesterday. I didn't even see this article, but it was what's his name from ESPN that wrote this article about if Hassan Reddick and the Jets can't agree to a deal, where does Hassan Reddick ultimately end up? And there were like 4 other teams.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs were one of them.
He's trying to get paid, man.
And this is, I wrote it all out yesterday because I gave the take. It inspired me to write out a whole thing on Twitter about, where I stand on the possibility, and it is a possibility, of Hassan Reddick coming to Kansas City, because I do believe that the Chiefs would be a team that Hassan would love to come to.
Oh, for sure.
As he should.
Yeah.
But there are some legitimate problems, guys, with the possibility of that happening. I mean, the idea of getting a top-tier edge rusher alongside Chris Jones is always ideal. We know this.
Yeah.
But the only real snag of this happening is age. Hassan Reddick is 29 years old. And the Chiefs have only signed, if we know about Brett Veach, guys, he's only signed 2 players ever to lucrative deals that were 29 or older. That's Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. In other words, guys that are considered unicorn one-of-one players. And I love Hassan Reddick. I think he's amazing. You guys saw how this dude wreaked havoc for the Eagles when they picked him up. But you only make that trade if you're looking to lock him up for a long-term deal. And he wants big money, and I just don't see the Chiefs being the ones to give it to him.
I think the Jets end up paying him.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, too. Because we know, Trevor, what the Chiefs love to do. They love to bargain shop.
Yeah.
The Amenahu contract is what always comes to mind. Amenahu got, 3 years, $25 million. He was 25.
Well, and on top of that, just with what the Niners did to that defensive line, his absence was noticed, and they know they want to make a run this year. This is Aaron Rodgers ain't here just to play around for shits and giggles.
Exactly.
He wants to win, man.
Right.
He wants to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl and try to win the Super Bowl. He wants to be a contender this year. So I think the Jets do what they can to keep Aaron Rodgers happy and keep this defense elite, because I still believe they're elite with or without him. They were elite last year. Then they need a guy like that to put them over the top. So I think the Jets figured out with us.
What's confusing to me, though, real quick, because I agree with you. I think inevitably it will be the Jets that compromise.
They don't bring him over here and then let him walk.
But the confusing thing about the Jets and how they handle this is, according to their language,
yeah,
they brought Hassan Reddick over here without any intention of signing him long term.
That's why he feels slighted, and I get it, man. He should feel that way. He has the leverage.
When
here.
you're signing a veteran edge rusher like this,
Yeah.
you have to think this man wants to get paid.
You extend him, yeah.
Now, it was Bill Barnwell. There it is, Bill Barnwell. Bill Barnwell was the one that came up with this suggestion. He's basically saying the Chiefs can trade a mid-round pick and George Karlaftis. I'm not doing that.
No. I don't want to break up the continuity here, man.
26-year-old Haason Reddick, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Sure.
In a heartbeat.
Sure.
But he's almost 30, and there's no way in hell the Chiefs are paying a guy who's damn near 30 that's not a unicorn.
Especially with the contract we just gave Chris Jones, and we're already dealing with other contracts that we want to keep guys around. It's a continuity thing. We have a system here. We don't need to go splurge on a guy that will definitely help, but we're also going to get a Menahu back at some point who's going to drastically help this defensive line. We have good depth already here. Yeah. I'm not... We've won Super... We don't need Haason Reddick. That would be a plus.
They spent a first-round pick on FAU. They just signed Mike Dana to a 3-year deal. They just traded for Cam Thomas. Yeah. Like you just said, a minute who's on his way back. That's 4 bodies right there the Chiefs have invested in.
Right.
So, and George Karlaftis is a first-round pick too.
He's been great.
So that's 5 bodies right there. Like I said, there's a balancing act that we now have, Trevor, where it's like, okay, you got to go all in because it's a three-peat that you guys are fighting for.
Yeah.
But you also have to be conscientious of Patrick Mahomes is just getting started. So you have to keep the books in order to keep winning beyond this year, too. So Brett Veach, I don't envy him, dude. The job he has is maybe the most difficult in the NFL because you have to be
this year.
You have to be so in for this year. You have to be so dedicated and hell-bent on we got to build this team the best of its. We have a real shot of winning 3 straight Super Bowls. And, well, there's also 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, and 2029 where Andy Reid is under contract. You know, there's a lot of things they still got to balance out, man. So Haason Reddick makes so much sense for teams like the Jets, like you said, because – you know, you have Aaron Rodgers at 40 years old.
They need him more than we do.
Shots.
Yeah, they need him more than we do, for sure.
But the problem is, like I said, in Haason Reddick's eyes is, a team wants me. That means they want me for the next 3 to 5 years. And they're like, well, we never agreed to that. How do you not know that's what this man's going to want? You know this dude at this age, he wants one more big bite of the apple to get himself 40, 50 million guaranteed, and then he can go and retire after, 3 or 4 more years. It's just confusing to me, man, how this whole thing's been played out with the Jets, and leave it to the Jets to be the ones that have this kind of disarray. Because I do believe if he played Week 1, that's a very winnable game for the Jets. Because Brock Purdy would have had a lot more pressure underneath. Quinnen Williams would have had a lot more one-on-ones, or vice versa, where Haason Reddick's getting the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And he's a deadly man on a one-on-one, man.
Yeah.
So I like what the Chiefs have now. I'll be honest with you.
Our defense looks good, man.
I think the Chiefs' defense is going to be just fine.
Our defense looks good.
You don't have to go and make a dire move like that.
Yeah.
I think if the Chiefs are going to make any type of move like this, it's going to be, like I said, a bargain barrel guy. A guy that another team's just trying to shelve off, that he knows he's not getting a big long-term deal. The Chiefs rent him for a year, and that's it. And whether that's a corner, whether that's a linebacker, and whether that's an interior defensive lineman, it doesn't matter. I think that's the only way that you see the Chiefs add a veteran on the defensive side, because one thing we do know, Trevor, is the Chiefs have not spent big money on defense outside of Chris Jones.
Right.
That's been evident.
Well, in the Chris Jones situation, it's entirely different. The dude's been in-house. He's a day one guy. He's a guy who's won multiple championships
and he's
here.
A Hall of Famer.
He is deserving of it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Haason Reddick is a Hall of Fame talent, but is he a Hall of Famer?
No.
And he's not a guy who's been here and has been a part of championship teams, in my opinion, or in factual evidence. But yeah, I mean, he's a great player, but he's not a guy of need. We don't need him. The Jets by far need him much more than us. And there's other teams that need a guy like that would possibly pay up for him. But I think the Jets, like I said, I think at the end of the day, I think the Jets figured out because they know they need him right now. They need him alongside Quinnen Williams on that defensive line. And they just looked awful against the offensive line of the Niners. They've got just absolutely gashed them all night long. So, yeah.
We have our guy Bubba BP also had this take. He said, FAU isn't good, though. I'd trade FAU in a package for Reddick. Okay.
They won't take that.
Here's the problem, though, Bubba. You got to understand something. And first of all, I just fundamentally disagree on your FAU take. I don't think he's bad at all.
We don't have enough to go
off of. He's a developing player, first of all. I think that he has shown glimpses of promise. I don't think that he's been a world beater by any means, but you even saw this Ravens game in week 1 where FAU he recovered the fumble. He had a heads up play on that, got the fumble recovery, was in the backfield multiple times. I mean, I'm looking at the positives here when it comes to what FAU has become, because you got to remember also, FAU's rookie season was essentially a redshirt year. There were so many guys ahead of him that he didn't really have a legit shot. He had to become a star player for him to get really any shot to play. And most pass rushers that are late first-round picks and beyond, they take a year or two to develop. Even T.J. Watt himself. T.J. Watt, who is, I think, the best defensive player in the league, had 7 sacks his rookie season.
Yeah.
7. I mean, George Karlaftis had 6. And we know the gap between those two players, and I'm not dissing George, it's just TJ's a god. So I think we need to give FAU a little bit more time. I think that by the end of this season, we should know what FAU is. And I think he showed promise, man. And to be honest with you, I just think that we need to realize that these are the kind of guys that Brett Veach is going to continue to bring in. He's going to draft guys and bring bargain barrel guys in. We're not trading for. I don't think that Frank Clark trade ever happens again, is what I'm saying. I don't think Brett Veach does that, at least in Patrick Mahomes' prime years. I think maybe as Patrick gets older and they're making a little bit more of a desperational heave.
And at that time, we were building foundational pieces. We needed guys like Frank Clark to build a foundation for the defense, because the defense was being completely reworked.
Right.
And we needed attitude guys like him and Tyrann Mathieu, who established.
Justin Houston was out.
They established a new culture here defensively, man. Those guys were needed for what we needed at the time, and they helped. We won. We got jewelry out of it, man. So.
Yeah, Bubba responds. He said, "I hope FAU is good, but I'm skeptical about it." That's fair, dude. Look, I'm not saying
there's
that
been good and bad.
You need to be skeptical. Well, shit, we're skeptical on the show all the time.
Yeah.
This needs to be called the Skeptical Podcast, because I'm very skeptical, dude. So I'm right alongside of you on that. I'm just saying, give him time. That's all I'm asking. I'm not going to be the guy that in 3 years I'm going, oh no, FAU's in year 4. He's got time. No, dude. I'll be right alongside you. And if by year 3 FAU hasn't grown as a player, I'll be right alongside you. I'll say that pick just sucked. Look, that's how we were with Sky Moore. Trevor was a little bit later than I was, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I was saying that I thought this guy was going to be special at the beginning. Full disclosure. You go back and look at our old tapes. I was watching Sky Moore in training camp his rookie year, and I saw special, but he never developed.
Just the wrong kind of special.
Yeah. And now here we are with a guy that you can't play.
Yeah.
I mean, Sky Moore played 10 snaps in week 1, 0 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards.
Yeah.
That's now the guy he is.
We need to get him a couple touchdowns so we can trade him for another receiver.
Jesus.
That'd be sweet.
Start calling him Basement Les. That's the new name for him. That's pretty good.
Jesus.
But
I mean, but yeah, I think but as far as the NFC goes, though, I like what's happening over there. I think the AFC is so. Even the AFC, though, I mean, the way the Bengals played week 1, I think the New England Patriots have a good chance of going 2-0 to start the season. I think they could possibly beat the Seahawks. Week 1 was weird, though, man. There's a lot of weird games this first week. And a lot of injuries already, too, man. It's been a rough start to the NFL season. A lot of stars have been getting hurt already, and that's Keenan Allen and Odunze are already probably going to miss this week. Tua just got knocked out maybe for the season, possibly. Who knows how long he's going to be out.
So unpredictable, man.
I mean, dude, it's rough, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's my main thing. I'm like, keep that stuff away from the Chiefs. We need to stay healthy. I'm glad we got out healthy, and outside of, Hollywood, it's just never going to happen this year, in my opinion. But other than that, man, we've looked healthy, and that's that. Keep that injury bug away from us, please.
I think the 3 best games of week 1, Chiefs and Ravens, that was the perfect way to start a season off, coming down literally to a toe. That was a great game. I thought the Chiefs left a lot of meat on the bone. We talked about this. The Ravens are a good team, and they deserve the respect. And it was another nail biter.
I think any other team outside the Chiefs loses that game.
Probably, man.
The way Lamar was playing, that was just.
He had 400 total yards.
He wasn't throwing the ball very well. They were doing a lot of dink and dunk, screen passes. He was
122 rushing yards.
Yeah, he was all over the place.
Most times, when your quarterback rushes for that much, you win.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, I bet if we go back and look at all the 100 rushing yard games by quarterback, they win.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry scores a touchdown. He wasn't great either, but he was on the field because they were trailing. But
I think another great game this week was the one that most people didn't get to watch because it's on Peacock. I had a fucking download Peacock this week. It was so stupid, but
but
it was worth it. That was a great game. Eagles, Packers. It sucks what happened to Jordan Love at the
another
end.
injury. I'm saying, like, there's been so many.
Yeah, I think he avoided a massive one though.
Yeah,
we thought, you and I both thought it was
could
either
be back in a couple
really
weeks.
bad ankle injury or an ACL tear. You were saying ACL tear.
It looked bad. His knee looked like it popped.
Dude, you know that Matt LaFleur, by the way, you know that Matt LaFleur hasn't even ruled him out this week?
Yeah, no, well,
that's hilarious. He's not playing this week.
No,
that's
he's
gamesmanship.
Not.
That's all gamesmanship.
Yeah, of course it is. And it's smart.
Yeah.
You don't have to rule him out yet. You know, I mean, that's smart. Make the defense prepare for both guys. That's definitely gamesmanship, and I commend it. I like it.
And you know, when I was watching that game, real quick, I just want to add to this. When I was watching that game and the Packers and Jayden Reed was going off, the first thing I thought was, please let Xavier Worthy become him.
Yeah.
If Xavier Worthy can become Jayden Reed, or at least play like him, where he's just this game breaker type player. Holy hell!
And Jayden Reed is like in the Debo-esque kind of role.
Yeah.
He does a lot of jet sweeps and he does a lot of designed runs for him and stuff. I mean, we kind of already saw that was Xavier
break open
Worthy.
in space. Yeah,
he did the exact same thing that Jayden Reed did, basically, even more efficiently. So
break the coverage. Yep.
I loved that game. That game was fun for like fantasy and just eyeballs because there was a lot of points.
So much fun.
But that field was terrible.
Yes.
And I think that field, they're lucky there wasn't more injuries in that game because it was awful. And Saquon really took advantage of that because Saquon was shifty and making guys miss. And scores 3 freaking touchdowns. Saquon looked insane.
I told you guys.
Running backs will take advantage of those kind of situations when the defenders don't really know. You know where you're going. The defenders don't. So offenses tend to benefit off of a slippery field like that. But I'm just glad that, I mean, Brazil, I don't know why we're doing games. I mean, I do know it's money, but like I don't know why we keep putting our guys in situations like this. It's a dangerous place to be in. And there was the production of it was really weird too because like they had the guy that was like really loud calling the game live, like in the Spanish or whatever, or in Portuguese. And like it was like like the volume was too high to where we couldn't hear our broadcast.
Right,
it is getting kind of annoying, but the game was fun for sure. That was a fun game.
And then the third game that I definitely want to talk about real quick is the Texans and Colts. So this was an AFC South matchup. I told you guys that I believe the Colts are going to win that division. I still stand by that. The Texans are going to beat the Colts in the postseason though, because I think they're just a year ahead of where the Colts are going to be. But Anthony Richardson. I'm not kidding you guys. I don't mean to sound hyperbolic. I think he made one of the greatest throws I've ever seen in my life.
It was insane.
That was, dude. I
don't know. He wasn't great that game.
I don't know if Patrick Mahomes makes that throw, dude.
Josh Allen maybe.
66.
I think Josh Allen could.
Yeah, 66 yards in the air, and he didn't step into it.
And he was slipping. He was slipping. It was like,
and it was on the money. Like he put Alec Pierce. It looked like a magnet to his gloves. That was. Unbelievable.
And he missed Adonai Mitchell on a couple. He should have had like 4 touchdown passes. He missed a couple, man.
You guys are finally seeing what I've been talking about.
His upside's insane.
He is stupid great. Like he has superstar written all over.
He runs like Cam Newton, but he's got a way better arm.
Yeah, he came out a good arm.
He did,
but Anthony has a better arm.
His arm's insane, bro.
Cam
wasn't making that throw. Yeah.
It's stupid how great this dude is. But CJ Stroud made more plays. It's plain and simple.
Yeah.
And Steph Diggs, I've been telling people he's going to kill this Texans offense. He's already got 2 touchdowns on the season. This Texas team is good, guys. They're scary good.
That defense is good.
They're scary. They stay healthy. This is a team that gets the AFC Championship. Yeah, I'm telling you.
D'Amico Ryans is.
They got the goods down there, man. But I think this Colts team is showing promise as well. Dude, Jonathan Taylor's healthy. The defense looks good. I think they're going to whoop on the Packers this week because Malik Willis I don't think he's going to do it, man.
I think the Packers are too well coached. I think it'll be close.
Well, I'm saying that I think that it's going to be the score might look closer. I think the Colts dominate the game.
I still think A-Rich is very mistake prone still, and I think he's going to make some mistakes. That Packers defense will get after you.
Jalen Hurts was getting off on him too, man.
They have one of the best corners in football, bro. Like that Packers defense is going to get, and it's in Lambeau. Like that's a tough place to go play and dominate. Not many quarterbacks go out there and just dominate on Lambeau Field. That's a tough environment. So I think it'll be close. I think even with Malik, I trust the coaching to have a good game for Malik to kind of use his legs because Malik can run. Don't get it twisted. That dude is very mobile, but he's an awful thrower.
And I don't want to be the guy that doubts Patrick on a throw, but dude, like I said,
it is what it is.
It is what it is, dude. That kid,
it's an insane throw.
Go watch that play and be like, guys,
60
sometimes you guys
62 yards, 62 yards in the air.
66.
That's fucking crazy.
66
falling
yards
away too. It's not like Patrick can't throw that, but falling away, slipping is insane.
Next Gen Stats said since they've been recording air yards since like 2005, 2006, whatever. That's the 3rd longest throw they've ever recorded.
I mean,
that's just stupid, dude. Like,
Mahomes probably doesn't make that throw, especially on the money. Like that was insane, dude. I mean, Alec Pierce had the guy beat, but that's still like hit him in stride. That was.
There are guys that have a stronger arm than Patrick Mahomes. Let's be real. Josh Allen probably has a stronger arm. Dan Marino probably has a stronger arm. Anthony Richardson probably has a stronger arm. Matt Stafford probably has a stronger arm. But that doesn't make them the better quarterback. That just means that they just have a stronger arm. It's okay. Patrick's got an absolute cannon. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that he's got the strongest arm of all time. Brett Favre
had maybe the strongest arm ever, and he wasn't better than Dan Marino.
No.
Dan Marino was the man.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
Dan had a gun, too.
Of course, but Brett Favre maybe has the strongest arm of all time.
Yeah.
He's up there. So, I mean, but Dan was by far the better guy, better quarterback. But, yeah. Either way, A-Rich is fun to watch. I think he's got a lot of things to fix still, but I think he's in a good spot with Shane Steichen over there. I think that's a great system for him. And that defense, they need to get DeForest Buckner back, but that Colts team could make a run here if they get healthy and that defense really kind of gets it going, because I do like them, but I need to see some more out of A-Rich to really be consistent, because he's got to get better as like an intermediate thrower. But the dude knows. I mean, if anybody breaks open, he's going to hit you.
Yeah.
But he's missed. Like I said, he should have had a way bigger day. I mean, he scored damn near 30 fantasy points for me. I have him on my fantasy team. Wow. And he didn't even do that much. He completed 9 passes, and he had, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that guy's fun to watch, but he's got to get some certain things together, though.
And then while we wait for our guy Steve to get here in just a second, guys, I promise he'll be on here in just a minute. And when he does, we'll have a lot of really good conversations. If you guys have questions for him, drop them in the chat as well. But, a team we haven't talked about yet that's also the AFC West is the Broncos. And, I've heard mixed things about what they saw from Bo Nix in this game against the Seahawks in Seattle. I was very confident Seattle was going to win that game. It was a very ugly, confusing game. But Seattle had 2 safeties. They just did not play very well offensively, but they played very well defensively. And I didn't understand Sean Payton's game plan. It's Bo Nix's first ever NFL game, and you have him throw the ball like 44 times.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't very impressed with Bo Nix. I don't think he played very well. He was very inaccurate. Yeah. Granted, it's his first game because we saw Caleb Williams absolutely shit his pants too. But I still believe in Caleb Williams. But I'm not the biggest Bo Nix guy. I don't believe that he's going to turn into something special. I'm not big on the Broncos at all this year. But I did think that the Seahawks really allowed the Broncos to hang around, and it made it into a game it didn't need to be. But once the Seahawks kind of got their screws tightened, I felt like they started to pull away a little bit. Geno running for like a 42-yard rushing touchdown was hilarious. Like, that's my boy Geno. I love him, and I'm glad he did it, but I wasn't expecting that at all. But I don't know. What did you take away from the Broncos this week, Trevor? What do you see from this team? More of a mess still?
Yeah, I mean, not much. I think it's going to be a team that's kind of altering things as they go. Definitely throw less, please, especially when you had a lead against the Seattle Seahawks, who were beating themselves the majority of that game with 2 safeties. I don't know what the hell was going on with that, but the Seahawks definitely turned it around in that game, though, because Geno started getting it going. They're too talented of a team to lose a game like that. So the Broncos looked awful. Bo Nix looked awful. I don't know. They just don't have enough talent on that team, man, to really get much. And I don't understand why they don't use Mims, the receiver, their speedy receiver, enough. I just don't know if the coach staff doesn't like him or what, but still got Cortland Sutton. I mean, they just had Bo Nix chucking the ball downfield and, playing chuck it football. And that's not a, their defense is still solid, though. I will say Denver's defense is still good. Probably the best corner in football. Patrick Surtain, who's up there, was arguably one of the best defensive players in football, period. But, that was an ugly game to watch. Wasn't a big fan of it. Not a lot of, highlight type plays. But yeah, Bo Nix, in my opinion, he doesn't look ready in this for the NFL at the moment, he's an older rookie too, so you think he'd be more of a guy that was kind of ready, and especially, I don't know, I think if they adjust the offense a little bit, let him do what he kind of did in college, and a lot of screen passes and RPOs, things like that, kind of get him a little more comfortable and get guys in space and dump offs and things like that. Because I do think like Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin, who I like a lot, undrafted rookie over there, or undrafted running back, I think is a solid kid. You just get him in space, he can make plays, kind of like a Devon Achane light kind of player. But the Broncos are going to suck, and we're going to beat them 2 times, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
the AFC West, I think this is what I was saying about, even though it's week 1, I think there was some tells.
Sucks, dude.
There were some tells of what's to come.
Yeah.
And I think that you see that the AFC West is still very much the Chiefs. They're going to win this division very comfortably, even though the Chargers won the game. Like I said, I feel like if the Chargers would have played anybody good in week 1, they probably lose, because they didn't impress me by any means. I liked it.
They should have lost to the Raiders. The Raiders beat themselves. Some terrible coaching decisions. Some, obviously, Gardner Minshew did everything he could to lose that game. But if they just played a little cleaner game, played a little more conservative instead of Gardner Minshew trying to make plays and just not throwing the ball away and turning the ball over, the Raiders probably win that game.
All right.
J.K. Dobbins had a couple huge runs.
That's what I'm saying. It was good to see that.
Sure, but he ran out of gas, couldn't finish the plays. He should have had like 2 touchdowns, but yeah, Chargers were not that impressive. I mean, Justin Herbert did not look. I mean, Ladd McConkey, I do like that kid. I think he's going to be a good player for them this year. He's going to be a good PPR guy for the fantasy people out there. But I wasn't very impressed, and their defense looked okay. But the Raiders honestly should have won that game if they played smart football and didn't punt the ball on on your team, the opposition's 40 when it's a 4th and 1. You can either go for a field goal or go for it. But you punt it. That was a wild decision in my opinion. But yeah. This division sucks, man. It really does. And they're not the only team I think that could be competitive with us is the Chargers, just because I think they have the best quarterback and coach out of all the other teams, and that would make them somewhat competitive with us. But not impressed by anything. I wanted to ask you how you felt about the Atlanta Falcons, because we were both having them win the division this year, and then you got them absolutely shit in the bed, and then you get the Bucs looking incredible. Granted, it is against Washington, but Baker looks awesome. Mike Evans is out there just sunning guys.
Yep.
Love that. Chris Godwin's back in the slot in his original role that he had earlier on in his career. Love seeing that. He looked awesome too. This team looks the Bucs look really good right now. But Atlanta looks awful. Kirk Cousins looks like he can't move. He's a statue back there.
I'm going to say this.
Yeah, so I was just curious what you thought about them.
Well, yeah, it was definitely a really bad first date for Kirk Cousins with the Atlanta Falcons. First impressions usually matter a lot. What I will say, though, is I'm going to give a lot of credit to the Pittsburgh Steelers because their defense was unbelievable.
T.J.
Watt. I can't praise this guy enough, man. He's one of the greatest defensive players I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think when healthy, he's the best defensive player in the league.
I can't agree. Dude,
as far as consistency goes,
he's won Defensive Player of the Year 2 of the last 3 years, and the only reason he didn't win 1 year is because he got hurt. He could have won it like 3 straight years. He probably wins it this year. So
if he stays healthy, he definitely yeah.
And so I'm going to give more credit to the Steelers, but I did not like what I saw from Kirk Cousins as far as his body.
He looked bad.
He looked
body
bad.
Language.
The way he was like positioning his feet, like he looked like a guy that's not only old, but is coming off a massive injury. So I want to see. I'm going to hold my opinion out until I see the Falcons play a more normal defense, because you're not going to face that type of defense every week. I want to see what they do when they face a normal defense. Same with the Bucs, because they're going into Detroit this week. Yeah. If they go in there and score 30 against Detroit, we got a legit team on our hands. And I told you
they're going to lose to Detroit.
I told you the Bucs are a team that I can see squeaking into the postseason this year. I think they miss, but they win like 8 or 9 games this year. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Baker looks as confident as ever.
He looks incredible.
He just carried over what he was doing last year right into this year, and he says him and Mike Evans' connection is wild, dude.
Right.
And then Mike Evans basically just taking on that PI. The dude was pulling him down the whole time. Just get off me, and he still catches the freaking balls and insane, dude. One of the most impressive touchdowns of the week.
Right.
But yeah, Atlanta looked bad. Poor Drake London. He's breaking free, getting open, and then Kirk's just not able to get the ball to him. Kyle Pitts scored. That that was a promising thing to see. Kyle Pitts get in the end zone. That was nice to see. But other than that, man, I think this Falcons defense is good though. I think that's one of the things that got missed in that game because of all the overshadowing drama because of how bad Kirk looked and things like that in the offense. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons defense didn't allow a touchdown.
Yeah.
And I know that's not a great offense on the Pittsburgh side, but they got talent over there too. They got, a young, good a wide receiver in Pickens. Justin Fields knows how to score points. Justin Fields has put up a lot of points in the NFL. So, I mean, I think that defense is going to kind of fly under the radar a little bit heading into this next week, and I actually like them against Philly, but we'll get there.
The only reason I'm not big on the Falcons this week is it's a primetime game in Philadelphia.
Sure. But their offense I don't think their offense needs to be great, because I think everyone's riding high in Philly's offense as if they're like this incredible offense, which they might be, but I think things are a little skewed. I think the defense of the Falcons is going to put up a good show.
Definitely with our guy Brent here. Bijan's going to have a good game. I definitely agree with that, because the Eagles
defense is not good, dude.
Josh Jacobs ended up having a really good game against the Eagles.
I think Algier and Bijan can have big games.
Right.
I think both those guys could eat that defense up. And I think Drake London, if they can get the ball to him, is a terrible matchup for that secondary in Philadelphia. So I'm telling you, I think Falcons got a good chance.
I think they at least cover. I think it's like 6.5 right now for the Eagles. I think that's way too rich.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm picking them to win.
You're picking the Falcons
in Philly. I'm picking them to win. Yeah.
Well, Kurt's gonna have to have a big game, even though with the Falcons.
I don't think he does. don't think he has to have a big game.
But I think that you might be giving way too much credit to a defense that faced Justin Fields.
Sure, but I mean, but also the Philadelphia, we saw their defense get shredded. So if Atlanta can put up some points, and I think that defense, like I said, I think their defense is underrated. They can get after Jalen Hurts, who has not looked good. Didn't even look that great this past week. It was the Saquon show. If they can slow Saquon down and get after Jalen, and I think AJ Brown's dealing with the hammy already. So if certain things, I don't know, man. It just feels like a game where Atlanta can go kind of ruin the home opener for Philly.
I mean, it'd be hilarious. Don't get me wrong.
They can't start 0-2. Atlanta cannot start 0-2. That's a rough. Most teams that start 0-2 miss the playoffs. This team is too talented.
If there's anybody though that can overcome it, it's a team in the NFC South.
Sure, that's true.
What I mean?
That division, that's true. But I think that's one of the matchups and games I'm looking for. It's a primetime game, obviously, so I'll eyeball it.
It's the Thursday night game or Monday night, right?
Yeah,
Monday night game.
So that one I'm looking forward to.
I remember the last time I think I saw Kirk Cousins at a primetime game in Philadelphia. It was like 3 years ago, and he threw like 3 picks.
Yeah, he's known to be bad in primetime games, but I think they really need to establish the run and get those running backs going, because Algier and Bijan are one of the best tandems in the game if you can get them going. I think that O-line's good too. Get Kyle Pitts, over the middle, let him work too. It's gonna be a fun game. I mean, I'm not very confident Atlanta wins, but I'm picking them. So
that's an interesting picture. Like I said, we gotta start having you do what's it called, spreads on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Not even on the show, but like on the pages that we have, our
Facebook
and Twitter pages.
Get in there and get with the people and see what the people are feeling. But that's one of my picks this week. I like Atlanta to not only cover but win.
I find an interesting matchup this week. I think the 49ers and Vikings is an interesting matchup in Minnesota.
They upset them last year.
But the only problem is that I don't think Jordan Addison's playing. So that's the interesting thing. But I'm not picking the Vikings to win.
I'm not either.
But Vikings plus 4.5. The 49ers coming on the road. Just had a really good performance.
Darnold looked good, man. Darnold looked good, and I think the Niners don't have the corners that can stop Justin Jefferson. So that defensive, it's really, this is a game of trenches for me. I think if they get after Darnold and shake him up, the game's over. You know what I mean? But I think if Darnold's able to comfortably deliver the ball and O'Connell's offense, I think you can put up some points against them, right? And I think this Jets game the Niners Jets game last week was kind of skewed the numbers wise, because Aaron Rodgers didn't have much. They didn't have the ball very long. The Niners just dominated the game with time of possession and just ran the ball. So we didn't get to see the Jets really challenge the defense of the Niners much.
Right.
I think this offense, and O'Connell is an incredible play caller and offensive mind. I think he's going to put together a great game plan. I just don't think they have the dogs offensively outside of Justin Jefferson. If Addison plays, that's a big boost.
You want to talk about a great game. Kirk Cousins was amazing against the 49ers last year.
That's what I'm saying, but that goes back to O'Connell.
Yeah.
Coach O'Connell, he knows how to play against them. That was a massive upset last year.
He was tearing them up in that game. I remember, dude.
He outcoached Shanahan.
That was the best I've ever
game.
seen Kirk Cousins.
He outcoached Shanahan in that game.
He looked at a top 5 quarterback in that game. He was unreal.
That was was that prime time?
Yes.
No? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was one of the few
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was I do like, that's obviously a matchup we're looking forward to because they did upset them last year. Definitely looking forward to that one, man. I want Darnold to have success. I like Darnold. I haven't liked him back, in the USC days. I like USC quarterbacks. I know a lot of them don't translate to league very well, but he's a big arm guy. He's had caught a lot of strays in his career. Has been a part of so many different coaching staffs and OCs. I think this is a great position for him to be in. If he can win this game, that's huge for not only his confidence, but this team in general, and my pick for the Vikings to go to the playoffs. If they can win this game, you could damn near shoe them in, because they'll start 2-0 against, one of those wins against the Niners. That's a massive start for the Vikings season, man.
I'll tell you who's not going to the playoffs is the motherfucking Panthers.
I don't have them in the playoffs, but God damn it, I picked them to win 9 games this year. So I think they got a good chance to win this week, though.
Against the Chargers, that'd be hilarious.
I think they could, dude. I think there's supposed to be some rainy weather. You get Herbert in some rainy weather in a grimy game.
But Harbaugh just runs the ball 35 times in a game like that.
Sure. And that offensive dude. How about Joe Alt?
You see how great he looked already?
You hear the nickname that he's getting now? Joe Alt Delete? It's fucking amazing.
That's amazing.
Because he deletes those, dude. He deletes the defensive ends. It's amazing, dude. Yeah, Joe Alt looks.
I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of that nickname.
Yeah. It's been all over like the fantasy world. Everyone's calling him the Joe Alt Delete. Yeah,
I like that.
He looks so good, man. Yeah, he was shutting Max Crosby's ass down. That was wild to see. Max Crosby didn't really do shit in that game, so what could have been if we could have found a way to get Joe Alt, man? That guy looks incredible.
Well, we're still waiting on our guy Steve. Waiting to hear back from him. I haven't seen anything yet. But while we're waiting for him, what we can do so we don't have to sit here and just prolong your guys' time, because I know you guys have Saturdays to get to, and I totally understand that, totally respect it. Trevor, why don't we just go ahead, man, and get it to our Chiefs Bengals preview, and whenever Steve gets in, we'll just drop what we're talking about and resume it when we get back. But
Yeah.
There's a brief conversation I had this week. See, I'm really honored and privileged, man, on Tuesdays to do the show Arrowhead Allies, and I hope you guys are following that by now, because I have a blast every Tuesday night with Clint Switzer, Noah Groninger, and of course my brother Shaggy Shane Williams. We always have really good conversation, but we also have awesome guests on too, guys that have played in the NFL, coaches, players, famous people just all together that come on the show. We have great conversations with them, and this last Tuesday, we thought it was necessary to have a former Bengal on and a guy that called a lot of NFL games, a lot of Chiefs games as well on CBS with Iron Eagle, Mr. 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙺. He actually joined us, and I hope you guys can go and watch the whole interview. But when it was my turn to ask 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 a question, I didn't want to waste my time or waste his time. You guys know that I get right to the punch, and I get right to the point. I had a take when it came to the Bengals that I kind of wanted to ask 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 what he thought on it, or if he felt the same way. And if, Trevor, you'd be so kind, let's go ahead and play this video. It's about a 4-minute video, so strap in, guys, because I give my take and then 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 gives a brief reaction to it. Go ahead, Trevor.
Let me get it here for you.
My outsider's perspective, coming into this season, I'll be honest with you, man. I said the thing that when I do my prediction shows every single year, I always try to find something that identifies with that team. Yeah. And the thing that I identified, again, from an outsider's perspective, was when it comes to the Bengals is bad vibes. I got bad vibes from this team before the season ever started. With the Ja'Marr Chase thing, now, that happens with every team, but it felt a little different because of their 2 years left, and it felt like he was very much hell-bent on getting that money right now, and he still very much is. The T. Higgins situation, is he truly injured? I don't know. I don't want to question him, but, there's that question. Joe Burrow, how healthy is he really? That we see him, messing with the wrist throughout the Patriots game. Is that going to continue? We're seeing doctors all over Twitter talking about it, about how this is going to be a thing he deals with for the rest of his life. And then we see Zach Taylor just on the grill constantly, man, just getting turned over on the flames, man. This poor guy just constantly having to deal with this stuff. And I have to sit here and wonder, is this team really built for this right now? Because this is year 5, technically, of the Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor experience. And what that is we know that historically no team in the history of the NFL has won their first Super Bowl with their head coach and quarterback duo after year 5. So this is like that 1 year where they have like that true chance left to get it done. And I feel like there's so much pressure on this team because they knew in 2021 they had their shot, and they see the Chiefs continuing to ascend. Maybe they had their shot and they blew it. Where do you see this team going? I know it's so early in the season. It's such a disappointing loss to the Patriots, but I think this might actually be a symbol of what this team might be this season. Or am I overreacting? And again, just seeing from an outsider's perspective.
Totally overreacting. Dude, they lost by 6 points. The score was 16-10, and you're talking one game. Season's over. Season's over.
Peace out.
Yeah. The season's over. Let's not even play them. And it's amazing how, people, we talk about how you feel, mojo. There's no way you can go by anything that's a gut feeling. Like, can't even trust your gut. You can't trust your emotions. How many girls have you dated in your life? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You got the wrong crowd for that.
That's right. If you could trust your gut or trust your emotions, you would have had the one, you still be with the one, and she still be. Now, the fact that you've had multiple selections in that area, I think that kind of kills that story, right? That you can't trust your gut. You cannot trust your gut. These games have to be played. All the guys that you even named are 25 or under.
Yep. I
mean, you're just getting started in this league at about 25 years old. You're literally just getting into the good years, into the good part of the fruit. So, look, there's no more pressure on them than there is the Dallas Cowboys, or then say the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson, or Pittsburgh with their 2 quarterbacks, or
Buffalo.
Pick any Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo has already been there. Bite of the apple, bite of the apple. You're telling me it's over for them? No. As long as you guys know what it was like when you didn't have a quarterback.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
when you get that quarterback, I remember in 2021 when you guys lost to the Bengals, I tried to console Chiefs fans. Look, guys, you're not going to win it every year. Just know that you're gonna win some, you're gonna not win some. But don't be ready like, oh, the sky's falling. You know, yeah. And I remember telling people that you'll be back. It's okay. But you just gotta understand Tom Brady had played 20 years in New England. He won 6. What do you think happened all them other 14 years, man? That's what you got to understand. Athletes, we know how to play the long game. And I can tell when I'm talking to fans or I'm talking to real seasoned people in the game because they understand the long game. So but you kind of preface your question with, I don't know nothing. I just see this. I love the way you started that. I don't know nothing. Don't read nothing. Don't know nobody. But I'm going to throw this question out because it showed. It showed. It really did. But it's okay.
Good times, man. I very much enjoyed that conversation with our guy Solomon Wilcots. We always appreciate his time on the show, and the conversation goes on beyond that. We had good laughs, very lighthearted conversation. I'm going to be honest with you guys, though, and I talked about it later on the show with the guys at Arrowhead Allies, that I think Solomon, although very, very intelligent man, very much a respectable man that knows this game inside and out, I think there was a little bit of an oversimplification with some of the problems I think the Bengals showed. This is why I started the show off with talking about the Week 1 recap and how I think certain matchups and certain games and certain teams and certain players showed us something that could become a precursor to what is to come. You know, we know this Chiefs and Bengals matchup to be the one true rivalry of Patrick Mahomes' career to this point because they're the only team that can consistently beat the Chiefs. But we know how this league works, and we know that this league is a year-by-year league. That things change so rapidly for the good or the worse. For the better or the worse, I should say. And for the Chiefs, they continue to ascend. Imagine a team that's won back-to-back titles somehow gotten better this offseason. That doesn't ever happen. Usually teams that have gone to multiple Super Bowls in a row tend to get worse, and they're on their last leg. That's not the case with the Chiefs. And, you know, Solomon talks about how, you know, gut feeling doesn't matter. Vibes doesn't really matter. You can say that, but I've heard many times that players care very much about the morale that they deal with in their locker rooms. That's why a lot of players love coming to Kansas City because they feel like they're a part of something that matters. It's more than just guys trying to collect a check. They're going for something great. They're playing with other players that are motivated to win, as opposed to playing in other franchises that are poverty. I think it does matter to a certain degree. And when it comes to the difference between the Chiefs and the Bengals, I definitely think that these franchises are going opposite directions. I think the Bengals had a legitimate shot of winning the Super Bowl 2-3 years ago, and they blew it. And I think that we're also seeing that there is a demise with how this team is being constructed because one thing we know more than anything about this franchise is they're cheap. We've heard the stories from 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴 about how guys had to literally share cups. I'm not kidding.
Crazy, bro.
Guys had to drink out of holes in conduit pipes at practice to get water. Like, this is a cheap franchise who, ironically, offered Ja'Marr Chase a lot of money, reportedly, and he turned it down, which sounds to me like he doesn't want to play there anymore. And now we're seeing Joe Burrow, and something Solomon didn't address, dealing with a legitimate hand injury, a wrist injury, that all throughout the game, he's working on it. You saw him doing that. Couldn't pick up the water bottle properly. He tried to downplay it in a press conference later on, trying to play coy, but we have the video. We're also seeing, and Trevor, if you could post that real quick, of Joe Burrow's numbers, these are the differences in this Week 1 game of Joe Burrow and how he's playing. It's a different player. We're not seeing the same guy we saw a couple years ago when he's chucking the ball downfield to Ja'Marr Chase and getting big touchdowns. That guy isn't there right now. Beyond this, past the sticks, 50% completion percentage, Raleigh, 59 yards. Short of the sticks, 17 and 21 for 105.
Tied third fewest among week 1 starters.
He's playing like Alex Smith, and I'm not dissing Alex to anybody that loves Alex Smith. Calm down, guys. But you all can agree with me. He used to drive you nuts when it was 3rd and 13, and Alex would throw the ball for 2 yards. That's what Joe Burrow is right now. And the reason I believe that is because Joe Burrow is clearly not healthy. And he doesn't have the weapons he once had. Think about that team in 2021. They had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, the third receiver, Trevor. Tyler Boyd, thank you. Tyler Boyd, 2 awesome tight ends.
Joe Mixon.
Yeah, and Joe freaking Mixon, who's leading the league in rushing right now. I mean, that was a loaded, and Samaje P. Ryan, I might add.
Yep.
And an awesome defense.
Prime Samaje P. Ryan.
And an awesome defense. They have Jamar Chase of all those guys now. That's it. Now all of a sudden, Joe's limited with a limited roster. This is why you have to capitalize when your franchise quarterback is on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
Because not everyone's the Chiefs.
Zach Taylor might be getting a little exposed as a coach. Possibly.
I
still like him, but possibly.
So what I'm saying to this Trevor, is when it comes to this matchup, I know everybody talks about, well, this is that team that has the Chiefs number. This isn't the same team. This isn't the same Bengals.
On both sides.
And if we're being real, the only reason this is even considered a rivalry is because of Patrick Mahomes having his only true meltdown in his postseason career, that second half of the 2021 AFC Championship game. It wasn't because Joe Burrow lit the world on fire. Josh Allen had a significantly better game the week previous and lost. Joe Burrow had completed 60% of his passes through 250 yards and 1 touchdown. He wasn't great in that game. The Chiefs melted down. That's the only reason we look at this as a rivalry. And these teams, since then, have gone in the opposite direction, and the Chiefs have ended the Bengals season in back-to-back years. These are not the same teams. The Chiefs are a much better franchise. They're going in a different direction.
Yeah. It's not even close.
And that is why I look at this matchup right now, and I see what these 2 teams are coming into this week with. You can say, oh, it's early. Oh, it doesn't matter. There was only a 6-point loss to the Patriots. God damn it. That was an 8-point favorite. The Bengals were 8-point favorites at home against that Patriots team. Had Jacoby Brissett as their starting quarterback with literally 0 to throw to. Ramondre Stevenson had 24 rushing yards in that game. That's all they had. And he was still killing them. You can say the Patriots had a really good game plan. They still should have blown the doors off of them.
Well, the Bengals turned it over in the red zone as well.
Yes.
And they went multiple 3-and-outs. And again, similar to the Jets-Niners game, the Patriots owned them in the time of possession. They chipped the game away very slowly but surely, death by 1,000 cuts. And on top of that, Joe Burrow looked bad. He did not look good. He looked awful, right? And they don't have the Joe Mixon. They don't have the Samaje P. Ryan. They got Zach Moss out there trying to lead the pack, and it's just it was a bad outing. And I agree with you. Both these are the people are still very much hung up on the history of this rivalry and the history of what Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes have been up to this point, as far as the back and forth and you got the Bengals team still trying to keep this rivalry alive, and I'm sure we'll get to that, but. Yeah, I think we really need to adjust to what's going on currently. And as you said, these 2 teams are going in 2 totally different directions. Where one team's coming off back-to-back Super Bowls, going for a third and looking better than ever, and then one team's looking worse than ever, looking like they might not be able to keep their trio of offensive skill players around. They already lost one of the 4 in Joe Mixon this offseason, who just had the best performance of all running backs in Week 1. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how far you want to get into this matchup, but I think there's a great chance that the Chiefs do nothing but steamroll this team, in my opinion. And this is the worst case scenario for the Bengals starting the season wise, because they were supposed to win Week 1. They always start slow every season. I think they've lost 3 consecutive Week 1 games, but you can't lose to the Patriots and then think you're going to have a bounce back game against the hot Chiefs, who's the best team in football right now. It's especially coming off an impressive win against another rival-ish type team and the last year's MVP. us coming off of that win in Arrowhead and having another matchup against a team who just lost to the Patriots, who was supposed to be battling for the worst team in football this year. So this is not a situation where I think the Bengals have a bounce back game. This is a bad situation for the Bengals, man. On top of all the bad vibes over there just going along with their team, let alone their performances, bad vibes all the way around for that team. Internally, organizationally, ownership, everything is just it's bad. Joe Burrow doesn't look right. I don't think Joe Burrow is just going to go scorched earth out of nowhere against this Chiefs defense. In my opinion, is superior to that good Patriots defense, but is superior to that Patriots defense. And by God, a far better, more dangerous and potent offense. It's not even a question. So what are the Bengals going to do? I honestly don't. I don't know what they can do in order to make this game even competitive, in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you a question. How many points do you think the Bengals would have to score this game to win?
35.
Okay. How do they score those 35 points?
No idea. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. T. Higgins is already going to be out. Who you got? Yoshivas, I think a second-year guy, and Trenton Irwin.
Jermaine Burton.
I mean, and Gesicki at tight end. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, it's not going to happen. I'm more confident in this win than any other game this week. And it's not even close.
Well, and so is Vegas, by the way. I just want to add this.
Yeah. 6.5 points?
The Chiefs are 6 right now. The 6. It's 6-point favorites. That tells you that they would be favorites in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They would be 2.5, 3-point favorites in Cincinnati.
Especially the fact that Vegas is doing that, leaning that way, when every game we've ever played against the Joe Burrow Bengals is finished within 3 points.
Right.
It's been a field goal game to end them. And I think the Chiefs more than covered the spread. I think we more than covered the spread. I think we win by 10 points plus. I think this offense is going to go out there and shred that defense. I mean, if we can keep Trey Hendrickson out of the way, keep him neutralized, I think Pat's is going to have his way with that defense, and our defense is just going to just keep beyond Joe Burrow's ass. And
you guys know that there has not been another team in the NFL that has been more loud about their thoughts on the Chiefs than the Bengals throughout the last 2-3 years. But I thought they were going to come into this one a little bit more humble.
Yeah,
because we heard Joe Burrow say, Pat's one of one. He's given the respect because I believe Joe Burrow really believes that.
I love it.
But then Cam Taylor-Britt
gave
his thoughts on Xavier Worthy. Trey, let's go ahead and play the video.
What does Xavier Worthy bring to this KC offense that you guys need to be prepared for?
Speed. That's about it. He can run straight. Run jet sweeps and just run straight. He can't do too much else, so that's about it. Feel like you put your hands on him. He's only 100-something pounds. So if you put hands on him, you'll stop the speed. So basically get hands on him.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's that simple. I mean, I guess, it's that simple.
And you know
what?
what?
I told the Ravens that. I mean, what were they thinking?
You know what's funny is that Taylor-Britt's not necessarily wrong, but the fact that he said this, the way he said it, and the tonality he said it, where it's just that simple to stop Xavier Worthy, when we just saw what he did in his first game of his career against a better defense than the Bengals, a better team than the Bengals.
Right.
Thank you. Because that just gave the Chiefs that much more bulletin board material.
Well,
Why?
And Xavier Worthy. You don't think Xavier Worthy is going to... They better not give him a one-on-one.
Why?
They better not give him a one-on-one on the outside, because if they do, Pat's chuck that shit, because he's going to burn whoever is on him. They better wise up and not do that.
Why would you give this team more motivation in this matchup when you're as weak as you've ever been in the time that this has become a real matchup? Why? Why would you do it?
Well, I mean, you could debunk what he just said by just simply watching his college film.
Well, yeah.
He beat press coverage with hands on him all the time, over and over and over and over again. It's hilarious. Just the film debunks that immediately. Just go watch. The dude was an absolute phenom against press coverage. Yeah. You can get hands on him all you want, but if you let him past you and he slips off of you, and you don't check him hard enough, you're done. He's gonna beat you. That's what I'm saying. I hope they give him a one-on-one. I hope they press. Please press with a one-on-one matchup with him in the corner. I don't care what corner it is. The dude you let him by you, you're done, bro. I don't care if you got safety help or not. He's gonna burn whoever is up there. So
it feels to me like a team that is very insecure, that's
talking,
and I love that Rashee Rice's response this week is we let our game talk.
Yeah, baby.
That's very much, you can tell that Rashee is growing up, and that's definitely something we need to see. But that's also, you can tell that he is a student of the Andy Reid way. That is what Andy Reid always teaches.
This is why his future is so bright, bro.
This is why the last time the Chiefs lost a game to the Bengals was the last time we heard a player talk from the Chiefs, and it was Justin Reid when he said he was going to lock down Hayden Hurst.
Yeah.
And Hayden Hurst bounced Justin Reid's head off the ground like a basketball.
Yeah.
And then Justin Reid didn't like what I had to say to him and blocked me on Twitter. But that's okay. Because
we move on.
Justin Reid needed to hear it. Justin Reid and I have talked since then.
He was wrong.
We're on good terms. But the fact remains, that is a learning lesson. The Chiefs learned it.
Yeah.
And the Bengals still have it.
Yeah.
Trevor, on Arrowhead Allies this week, we gave our predictions, and I said I definitely think the Chiefs are going to be getting to the score the box score this week. I think that Patrick has the game similar to what I thought he was going to have in week one, again, because I don't think the drops are going to happen this time like they did in week one.
Oh, yeah.
I do think the Chiefs are going to score around 31 points.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Bengals keeping it within 7, but the Chiefs would cover the 6. I said the Bengals were going to score 24. And then I heard Cam Taylor-Britt talk.
Ain't no way they're scoring 24 points on us.
And then I remember that they don't have anybody outside of Jamar Chase to throw the ball to. They have no run game. I mean, Chase Brown's whatever. He's no Joe Mixon.
I like Chase Brown, but
he's no Joe Mixon.
Right.
He ain't Derrick Henry, and the Chiefs shut him down.
Zach Moss is not it.
I think the Chiefs win this game by 2 touchdowns. I think they win this right 2 scores. I will say at least 2 scores.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna say the Chiefs win this game 31-17.
Okay. Mine's 30-17.
So we're right in the same. I think the only way the Bengals score over 20 is if the Chiefs have a really bad turnover on their side of the field or something like that.
Yeah.
The only way, because I don't think that Burrow's going to be able to manufacture points in this game. Not just because of his limitations and the limitations around him, but also the Chiefs' defense is still legit. They may not be the second best defense in the league this year, but I still think they're a top 10 unit, and they're going to continue to be. And, we might as well get some thoughts and opinions from somebody else who we're really excited to talk to this week, because we haven't had him on the show in a long time. I think it was actually right around the draft when the last time we had him. And because of my voice being so hoarse this week, I was like, you know what? I need somebody to help me lift me up, kind of like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen on the flu game, a.k.a. the bad pizza night game. I needed a guy that can come in here and speak some thoughts, speak some opinions that I respect, and who better than the one and only from All Chiefed Up. Let's give it up for the one and only Steven Williams. What's up, Big Sexy?
What's up, guys? Yeah, sorry.
Up,
I've been running behind today. I've had a week. Let me tell you.
You've had a week, huh?
I've had a week. Today was no exception. But I made it here, so that's good.
You are here. You are, in fact, here.
You can eat a lozenge and I can talk some,
Dude, I've been dropping these things, man. I'm telling you. Hopefully I'll get better by next week. But first of all, brother, really happy to have you on. Wanted to get some updates from All Chiefed Up, man, because obviously you guys are killing it. You guys are doing great things over there. You and your brother Mike. You guys know we're big fans of you guys. We love you guys to death. Just give an update to our fans here, man, that are watching right now that may not somehow be on the All Chiefed Up side of things yet. How are things going over there for you guys, man?
Going good, busy, obviously. Mike putting in a lot of time on the whole thing, but I mean, honestly, we've been trying to do like more news than we normally do, so like more of a news kind of thing. Still giving our opinions and stuff at the end of the episodes and things like that, but just trying to kind of condense everything and give everybody some news and some entertainment quick and to the point, and trying to do it several times a week. So, and then of course we do a couple live streams as well. But yeah, man, just busy. I guess that's the only thing I could say.
No, man, you guys are doing great. Every time I see you guys post on our page of Spoken, I get excited because I get to notate that and watch it later on, because sometimes I don't get to catch you guys live. But I always feel like I learned something when you guys are bringing stuff up, because your opinions are unique as well. That's something we take pride in here, as well as we don't always give the popular opinion. And that's something you guys pride yourselves on as well, as you tell the truth. You tell Chiefs fans what they need to hear, not always what they want to hear. So that's something I respect about, which is why we have you on today, man, because I started the show today with saying that I think that week one told a story a little bit more accurate than some people may realize. I think there's a precursor of some of these games. And I definitely think with this matchup with the Chiefs and the Bengals, I think that you saw some real flaws, some real weaknesses from this Bengals team that I think will show again in week two, if not more so, against a much better team than the Patriots. especially in a Arrowhead vibe. When this game matters so much to these Chiefs fans out here, and it's going to be a high energy game. And then we get bulletin board material from Cam Britt Taylor when he's saying, "Oh yeah, Xavier Worthy, he can just run straight. That's just stop him, and that's all you got to do." Somehow, some way, this team just never learns their lesson. Jamar's talking, saying that they're the best in the AFC. They just got to play like it. This oversimplification of these real problems they're having. Oh, and Joe Burrow's hurt. No matter what nobody says, you can tell this dude's wrist is legitimately wrong. There's a lot of problems for this team, man, coming into this matchup. And I know it's early in the season, and people think that's they'll bounce back. This ain't the same team that it was 2 years ago. This ain't the same team it was when they were going to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship back-to-back years. I think this team's got real problems coming to this matchup, and I think the Chiefs can feast on them. Am I being ridiculous here, or do you see it the same way?
No, I'm right there with you, man. Like, they have way too much stuff going on, and the big thing is Joe Burrow. Honestly, like I know T. Higgins has been hurt, Jamar Chase has kind of been non-existent, even though he's playing. But Joe Burrow's wrist is the big thing, right? And I think they're hiding something. Like, to me, it don't look like he's just loosening up his wrist or it looks like it's bothering him. So I think that's a big thing. But what we have to remember, though, is, like, looking on paper, I'm like, man, this should be a blowout. Like, the Chiefs should romp these dudes the way they played last week against the Patriots. But they're going to come in and play the best game they've played all year this week. So I fully expect it to be a close game, closer than it should be. But God, wouldn't it be nice if the Chiefs would just put it away early?
God, you ain't lying, bro. My God.
But no, I think obviously it sucks. Hollywood Brown's not going to be back for a while now. People even thought maybe he could be back this week. But thank God they went out and loaded up our receiver room this year to where it's not that big of a blow. So I think as long as the Chiefs show up with intensity and don't be lackadaisical and give them the game, it's the Chiefs game.
And one thing to me that I noticed about Joe Burrow, let alone his performance was awful, but I think the thing about that's made Joe Burrow kind of what he is the Joe Burr, the whole ego, the whole him being super confident. I don't see that in him right now, let alone in his play. His play looks bad. He doesn't look confident in his play, but even himself in the post-game pressers and just the way he's talking to the media, I don't see that Joe Cool-esque way about him. I don't see his confidence. I think that is another part that weighs into where the team is playing, the way the team is being coached, the aura, if you will, around that team. So I think there's a lot of problems other than just Joe Burrow's wrists. I think that's something you can coach around, but I think there's way more problems than just that. Obviously, the quarterback being hurt is the biggest linchpin to what is holding this team up, but the contractual situation with, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins being hurt, there's just so much. I think the Chiefs are going to steamroll this team, man. I don't think this game is going to be close, and I say that it's probably going to be a 3-point game again.
Right.
But at the same time, all the good vibes for the Chiefs right now, other than Hollywood being hurt, obviously, but the Chiefs doing what they did against the Ravens week 1 home opener, another home game against a team we want to shut up. It just feels like we're just putting together a nice little stew of some beatdown, and I'm ready for it. Also, I wanted to say breaking news: the Niners did just place Christian McCaffrey on the IR.
Mad curse, man.
It's because I drafted him in my fantasy league. I had the first pick, and it was like, I have to take him, even though I know he's going to get hurt.
Of course.
I even told Mike that, but I was like, I can't do it. I kind of wanted to take Hill, but obviously that looks like it's a bad situation too.
Did you pick up Jordan Mason?
Yeah, I think I might still have him.
You got to pick him up. If you don't have him, man, he looked great against the Jets. Yeah. But anyways, I think the Chiefs are going to beat their ass.
Yeah, kind of to play on what you were saying, I've noticed that too with Joe Burrow. Like, it looks like just overall there's a lack of confidence with the team. Like, it was kind of weird. Like, even their trash talk this matchup felt forced and odd. Like, because
trying to find an edge.
Yeah, it was very, very quiet at first, and like we even mentioned that on our show. Like, man, it's been crickets for it to be Bengals week. We didn't have one troll in our chat. We didn't see any comments anywhere, and then even the team hadn't said anything. I was like, it's pretty weird. And then literally the next day is when Cam Taylor-Britt and Jamar Chase decided to be dumbasses, but
slap-nuts,
like
you guys like to say.
Right. Yeah. In the situation that they're in, and obviously there's a bit of turmoil in that locker room, somewhat, but they had to know this probably wasn't the game to be starting that kind of stuff. So
I love it.
I just hope that the Chiefs, mainly Andy Reid, like he's really bad about taking his foot off the gas when he can put teams away. I feel like they could have beat Baltimore by 21 points last week.
Dude,
like it's just like, dude, we gotta stop doing this. Like they're obviously, we're watching football games for probably the last 2 years where the Chiefs look absolutely dominant to their opponent almost every game, and every game is a nail biter. And it's like, can we just this one? If no other game, can we just please stomp this team's ass and make them feel bad? Let's do it.
We're too nice. We're too considerate.
I can't wait till we beat the Panthers 27-26.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a real fun one.
Exactly. That's my point, man. We never how Dallas is notorious for just blowing out bad teams, and then of course they suck in big games. But like, we can't do that. We won't put a bad team away. We won't put a good team away.
It's obnoxious, dude. I want to get your thoughts, extend your thoughts a little bit on the whole Hollywood Brown thing. Obviously, we knew why the Chiefs brought him in. They were trying to stack the box. They're trying to overdo what they did wrong last year with the wide receiver room, and trying to make it right and give Patrick Mahomes some pieces to have fun again, because he wasn't having fun in 2023. They were doing everything they could to manufacture scoring last year. They struggled. Very tough season. They still won the Super Bowl, but Brett Veach doesn't like to make the same mistake twice. He gets hurt, has a rare SC joint injury that, according to one doctor yesterday, said he's never seen an NFL player have. So this is just so unlucky for Hollywood Brown. The question, though, now is what's next? Do the Chiefs, stand pat, maybe bring up a Remigio, a Justin Ross, or do they do, and we can put it on the screen real quick, Trevor, if you could, what Chris Clark said on Twitter yesterday from Locked On Chiefs, the possibility of going in a veteran like Amari Cooper. And here's the numbers real quick about how they could possibly do it and why it makes some sense for the Chiefs to maybe go after Amari Cooper, because if you look at the contract right here, all the prorated numbers were before the season. So you would only have to pay him for 2024 $1.21 million. So the real question is, what would the Browns ask in return? I'd imagine that they probably try to get a couple mid-round picks, something of that nature. Would it be worth it for the Chiefs to go out there and get a guy, because we know Amari Cooper will be a difference maker? Or do they say, no, we went and got Juju for a reason. We got some guys in this room that we're comfortable with. We think we have enough. What would you do if you were the Chiefs, or what do you think they're going to do?
So I think they're going to stand pat. I really do. I like the Amari Cooper idea. I thought he was a player we could have targeted for maybe a little over a year, because he's kind of hanging out on the Browns and doing nothing, right? I mean, I think he had one really big game last year. But I think I'm with you. I think they went and got Juju for a reason. I think they have their depth. In my head, I'm thinking, they still have the players to do what I think they're trying to achieve on offense this year, which is stretch the field out and just let Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice absolutely eat in the middle of the field. And now you throw Juju into the mix, who also plays that style of game, move the sticks, find the soft spot in zones. It's still going to be tough for any team to defend this team. I don't think they have to go out and get anybody else. I think you might see more either Justin Watson or Mecole Hardman, kind of trying to stretch that field out where Hollywood might be doing it, like back in camp and things like that. But, I mean, with Xavier Worthy's speed, they can put anybody else over on the other side and still kind of get done what they're wanting to get done. I think the key to the team going forward, I don't think Hollywood – I'm not saying Hollywood's not a great player and he wouldn't have been just awesome in our offense, but I don't – you can't miss what you haven't had, I suppose. We got to see one catch. Literally, like you said, that is the most shit luck I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. Like, the first catch of your first play with this team, boom.
Had to happen in Jacksonville.
It's wild, dude. Yeah. And I hate it, but hey, I think they're doing the smart thing. Let him get healthy the right way, no matter how long it takes, because we're good. I think we are good. We just got to focus on that running game and make sure that we're not abandoning it completely like Andy tends to do at times. But use the guys you got. I mean, I think 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴 a valuable piece in this game coming up against the Bengals. I mean, you got a little bit of insight there because we know we played for them. Beat our ass one year. Couldn't do nothing with that guy. But yeah, you got Pacheco, you got Carson Steele. We have 3 backs that I think could be valuable. And as long as we run the ball and establish some kind of a run game, I think we got the receivers to do it, especially counting in our tight end.
On the defensive side of things, I feel really good about this team. I think the Chiefs have a very solid unit. I know they've had some guys depart this offseason with Willie Gay and L'Jarius Sneed and Mike Edwards and, good veterans that helped this team win another Super Bowl. But we know that Brett Veach, man, he always seems to draft so well on the defensive side, brings, some key veterans here and there to fill in the equation. And I think that's what this unit's going to be again this year. But I'm going to be honest with you, Steve, I'm a little worried about what we saw from Nick Bolton. Now, I know he didn't have a lot of training camp. He's still getting his, feet underneath him and everything. And I expect him to get better. But, man, there was that Justice Hill play against the Ravens, a team that's not known to, kill you through the air. Justice Hill, that 4th down play, he doesn't even pick him up. That was his guy, and that's stuff that should be instinctual. It just seems like Nick Bolton really struggles against pass defense, and it continues to be a problem. And against the Ravens, he was just getting baked, man. The Isaiah Likely big touchdown, that was on Nick Bolton. And I'm not trying to be too harsh here, man, but I have to imagine the rest of the league's looking at this and going, okay, that's the guy we're going after every single time on 3rd and long or 4th and short or whatever it is situationally. If he's out there, they're targeting him. Am I wrong? Am I right? I mean, what do you see with this, Steve? Is this a real problem that could potentially become a bigger problem for the Chiefs defense?
It's really funny because before you even went in the Nick Bolton direction and you're just asking about the defense, my wheels were already turning about how the main thing I noticed last week was Nick Bolton's play, right? I think it's pretty obvious. But the thing about it is at the risk of sounding a bit overdramatic, I think he's always been a liability in the pass game. Like, he's such a great player. He's always around the ball. He makes plays when he needs to make plays. He's a smart leader on the defense. I love Nick Bolton. I don't think you're going to see many games that bad from Nick Bolton. But like you said, other teams see that, and it's surprising to me that they haven't already kind of had that game plan. And, I think they might have, because if you look back over the last year or two, no matter how good a Spags defense can get, because you always know by the end of the year they're humming and doing very well. Last year, I think we were the number 2 defense in the entire league. Yeah. But we still couldn't stop anything in the middle of the field, like ever. That's always been like the bane of our existence, is stopping a 3rd and long or something like that, because somebody will be wide open in the middle of the field. And I think maybe they've been looking at that already. Now, if there's any way for that to be countered by us and Nick Bolton, whatever we got to do, I don't know. I guess that's yet to be seen. But I'm not like super worried about it, Lance, but it's definitely, it's not the greatest problem to have, because I mean, having a guy like Nick Bolton that normally stepping up, being an all-world player, and you saw that game last week, it's got to be a bit concerning.
Yeah, absolutely. And we heard rumors also, again, I'm not buying into, the Chiefs going out there and making big swings this year and trades or anything like that. But I do know there's a balancing act, having a 3-peat on your hands. You want to go and try to fill your cup as much as possible and give Patrick Mahomes as much around him to win another championship. We had heard rumors, I don't know if you saw it or not, but Bill Barnwell from ESPN was addressing the Hassan Reddick situation. And if the Jets don't get him and they try to trade him, the Chiefs are one of the 4 teams that Bill thinks could be on the horizon for Hassan. My issue is Hassan's 29 years old, looking for a long-term deal. That's 0 for 2 for Brett Veach, unless you're a unicorn one-of-one player like Chris Jones or Travis Kelce, which ironically the only guys that Brett Veach has ever paid lucrative money to at that age or older. So, to me, he's already out. But as a rental, obviously it's ideal. I just think that the Chiefs are more of a bargain barrel shopper under Brett Veach when it comes to signing big veterans like that. You see Charles Omenihu, 3 years, $25 million. Chiefs consider that a bargain. I consider that a bargain. Dude was 25, 4 years younger than Hassan. Even though Hassan might be better, I just don't think that that's the market the Chiefs are going to be shopping in. Do you see the same thing, or do you think Hassan could be a guy that she's maybe trying to entertain?
Like the biggest red flag to me is that he doesn't fit in our scheme of defense.
Right.
Like, by all means, the guy's an edge rusher, but he's a stand-up guy. He's not going to put his hand in the dirt and be a Steve Spagnuolo edge rusher. I don't think they'll look at him at all. I think there's been opportunities for the Chiefs to look at him if they wanted to, and I just don't think they ever have. It's going to be awesome when Charles Omenihu gets back healthy, because you mentioned him, and that guy had a killer year in the short little window we got to see. So I think he fits into our offense very well, or I'm sorry, defense. But you know how like Spags likes to do things. He's got like a prototypical type of edge rusher. That's how we ended up with guys like Joshua 𝚂𝙺𝙾𝙺.
Right.
And Felix was kind of outside the box, and I mean, obviously that's not turned out great yet. I would love to see him step up. But the defense as a whole, I think we're in a good spot. A lot of people were worried about corners, like what are we going to do without 𝙂𝙺𝙾𝙺? I can honestly say this, guys. I've never worried 1 minute about not having 𝙂𝙺𝙾𝙺. Yep. Because I've seen what Jalen Watson and Josh Williams have been able to do when they just got thrown out there in the fire right off the bat. They've played well. They have their moments, but I mean, they're young guys. They're going to. Not everybody's
experience,
perfect. I mean,
though.
Right.
Experience.
They've been in it and like big games too.
Yep.
But I think the Chiefs defense, I think they like to eliminate one big threat, it seems like to me. Like if you just kind of step back and look at it, like even in the game against the Ravens, I feel like they didn't want Zay Flowers to beat them. So guess what? Isaiah Likely got to have a big day, but it didn't matter to them because it wasn't in their game plan. You know what I mean? Like I think I saw somebody in the chat mentioning that there's usually some kind of obscure receiver that has a big day, and I think it's because the way they plan. It's like if this guy and this guy don't beat us, then if someone I've never heard of can, let it happen. And I feel like Isaiah Likely was that guy they overlooked, and then of course Nick Bolton's play. But I think the defense, it's something you got to be patient with every year with Spags. The guy gets like a fresh ball of clay every year. He's got to remold it. There's always different pieces, and usually by about week 8 they start clicking. So I'm not going to worry at all. And I didn't think they really looked that bad in week 1 either, outside of Nick Bolton's troubles. So I'm pretty happy about how this team looks after week 1, because I do feel like it's a full product, offense, defense, everything, and just talent level. I feel like it's probably the best team in the Mahomes era, somewhat. So
it's up there.
I'm glad you said that, because that's actually what I said coming into the season in our prediction show. Is I think that this is the most complete team. I compare it to the 2020 team before the offensive line just was decimated with injuries. That team it felt like they couldn't lose. There was that one frustrating loss to the Raiders that made no sense. But outside of that, like they just found ways to win, whether they're blowing teams out or they were surviving the Atlanta Falcons 17-14. It was a weird year with the COVID stuff, but that team just felt unbeatable, and then it took injuries for them to ultimately lose in the Super Bowl. But I think this is that team with a better offensive line, a healthier offensive line. And, you read my mind on the quarterback situation. That was going to be my next question. I also think the fact that that a lot of people don't realize how good their safety room is, too. One of the best, if not the best in the league. And I think that Jaden Hicks is going to taking shape and play his role. I think Shamari Connor's going to be all over the damn field. He was a little over-aggressive and overshot some tackles in the backfield in the flat in week 1. But I think that the fact he's there, he's gonna start showing that he can make some of those plays now, because he's always available. It feels like Shamari's always in the mix, and I love that about the kid. But, I mean, I'm looking at just one more question about this matchup, man. I mean, Chris Jones, it felt like he had like 20 pressures against Lamar in that game. And I'm looking at this Bengals offensive line that did not look good in week 1. And I'm thinking that Chris Jones might have himself a day in this one, man. I mean, we all focus on the offense now because it's revamped and exciting and stuff, but this game might be won by the defense. What do you think, man? Do you think the defense might have a dominant performance in this one too?
Honestly, yeah. I think it's a perfect storm for them to have a big day, right? And Chris Jones normally eats against the Bengals anyway, and I feel like this won't be any exception. Like you said, he was in the backfield a lot last week. And, it's hard to close in and get sacks on a guy like Lamar. But Joe Burrow's not that mobile. He just isn't. I mean, by all measures, like Joe Burrow's a good quarterback. but I mean, he's very average if you look at everything about him. You know, height, size, weight, speed, athleticism. So he's definitely somebody you can get in a box and kind of cash in. Chris Jones has done it a lot. That's normally how the games get put away, even when they're close, is Chris Jones getting back there and ending it on a fourth down or something like that. But I think it's going to be a good day for the defense. And you mentioned like some of the young guys like Chamari Connor and stuff in the secondary. Yeah, there were some mistakes there, but when you're an aggressive ass player like Chamari Connor, you're going to miss. You're going to whiff a couple times. And that's something that we can deal with. And we've seen that with Justin Reed. He'll do the same thing. Like Justin Reed's a pretty aggressive player. He likes to hit, and you'll see him maybe get a little too aggressive at times. And then you mentioned Jaden Hicks. That kid reminds me of Tyrann Mathieu. The kid's always around the ball. He's always making plays. Like, I'm not saying that he's a carbon copy or anything, but that's what comes to mind when I'm watching him play. And I was super surprised that he didn't get any snaps against the Ravens, because I feel like he's a guy that could have really slowed down Lamar Jackson, because with his speed and his knack for being around the ball, I thought he was a perfect defender to be out there against the Ravens. But for whatever reason, he wasn't. But yeah, I think we have a couple of guys with him and Chamari Connor. I think in a pinch, which you probably won't ever see it because they don't like to get off script, but those dudes could play a corner position. I mean, hell, L'Jarius Sneed started out as a safety. And I just think we have a lot of versatility in that defensive back room. But yeah, I think Chris Jones, the pass rush, is going to have a better day this week, since that was your question. I think Chris Jones will cash in a little bit more. I also think George Karlaftis kind of had a lackluster day last week. I think he'll bounce back from that. George is that type of player. He's just always working hard and trying to get better, and I think he's going to keep getting better. Like, I feel like he's just like a slow uphill trend. God, if we could get something from, Mike Dana's Mike Dana. We'll get a good play from him every now and then. If we could get something out of Felix until Charles Omenihu gets back, I think we're still in a decent spot with the pass rush. But if we can get back there and make Joe Burrow uncomfortable with his already uncomfortable wrist, it could be a long day for the Bengals for sure.
A couple more questions for you here, Steven. We appreciate your time, bro. We're going to get you out of here, I promise. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here. It's only been 1 week, but I feel like we've been seeing this guy's development over the last 2 years. Is it possible that Leo Chenal is the best linebacker on this roster?
Absolutely. Like, I wouldn't say I think it's premature to say it now, but right. I think what you're seeing is Leo getting to that player that we all saw coming out of college. He looked a little awkward. He looked a little out of place. It looked like he took a big step from college to the NFL at first, because it was kind of like, man, this guy's looks just a little behind or a little off. Something was just there. But we noticed late last year, probably last half of the season, and then in game 1, like, Leo's here, guys. Like, we got a beast. And he's also one of those players. He's just super aggressive. And you got to love those kind of players, man. Like, they're always the hammer. They're going to hit first. Like, they don't react. They're the guys that are, like, setting the pace. And I think we saw that last week against the Ravens. Leo was probably the most important defender on that field. He was always the one shutting down a bigger play or a play that could have got bad.
He was spying Lamar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Leo's also not the greatest in coverage, right? Like, I think all of our linebackers, that's probably their downfall. Drew's probably the best one, but Drew's not great in coverage either. But Leo's a downhill player. And I think if you can get him in the positions that he's comfortable in, like, and I noticed, like, they started putting him kind of, hey, get up on the edge, rush the passer, like stuff like that. That's perfect for that kid. I think the sky's the limit for him, because he's just such a good football player. That's the only thing you could really say about Leo Chenal.
My final question here, Steve. As a kid, I enjoyed meteorologists, the guys that forecasted the weather. I'm like, man, how do they do that? I'm so fascinated by that. I think it's cool, they can do that stuff. Here in Kansas, they're usually wrong, but it's still fun to watch. But I want you to play meteorologist for a second here. Kind of forecast for me, if you will. Steve Williams, chief meteorologist here, if you could. You look at the AFC picture, and I'm obsessed with this because I love looking, where the Chiefs are at right now, the chance of 3-peat, but I'm looking at, like, the next 5 years. And I'm seeing all the other teams in the AFC. Most of all the teams that have the better quarterbacks have had like their shot to win the Super Bowl. You know, if they're 4 or 5 years in with their same head coach, same opportunities, played the Chiefs in the playoffs, lost, or somehow overcame them in the AFC Championship and then lost in the Super Bowl with the Bengals. And now all these quarterbacks are making a ton of money. And now these teams got to get creative and try to figure out a way to get back to that place. And it's so much harder to do that, you know, outside of that rookie contract you have that quarterback in. You know, I'm looking at the AFC coming forward for the next 3 to 5 years, and unless CJ Stroud before his rookie contract's up, unless, you know, Anthony Richardson becomes a superstar like I think he could become on his rookie deal, the rest of the AFC for the foreseeable future is going to be paying their quarterbacks a ton of money and having to get creative just to get to where the Chiefs are, and I believe will continue to be. I think Patrick Mahomes could be at the top for a long time and be very lowly up there with you know, high-paid quarterbacks with a roster that can still win Super Bowls. I think it's going to get really lowly for Patrick for a while, dude. Do you see it the same way, or is there like that team that's like, oh no, they're coming, dude? Like next 3 to 5 years, Chiefs are going to have to worry about them.
Right. So I'm kind of with you. I think there's always going to be the typical teams right now, you know, Buffalo and the Ravens, like people that have, you know, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and even Burrow. I think they're still always going to be kind of a thorn in our side, but they've proven that they can't really beat Patrick Mahomes consistently. I mean, honestly, like everybody likes to bring up that Joe Burrow's got a winning record against Patrick Mahomes. He hasn't beat him when it counted except for one time, and that come at the expense of one of the biggest implosions I've ever seen a team have in my life. It wasn't because Joe Burrow was killing them. It was because they killed themselves in the second half. We all saw that. That game was handled already, and they just handed it over to them. So I'm with you, man. I think the Chiefs are set up for the long haul. I think that's been intentional. Brett Veach is playing chess while people play checkers, and he's kind of used that Patriots mold, like where our quarterback's not greedy, and I'm going to take advantage of it. We don't have to have superstars on the team, but we're going to have really good players. We're going to draft well. Brett Veach loves overcompensating and fixing problems that we have via the draft. I'm with you. I think going forward, the Chiefs are in a good position to be at the top for a long time. If I thought there were any teams that were trying to make a push in the AFC that people aren't thinking about, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is CJ Stroud and the Texans, right? Because they went out, they've put a super team together for this year. They're trying to go that route. And I get it. Stroud's on a rookie contract. He looks good. Let's see if we can do something here. But outside of them, which is the obvious, I think you hit the other one, and that's the Colts. I think the Colts have built a pretty good young team there, and it's all on Anthony Richardson. Now, I don't have as much faith in him as you do. I don't know if he can hit that. I watched him at Florida. He was trash. The kid has so many intangibles, things you can't teach. But he's not like a smart player. He kind of reminds me of Josh Allen at times, where we're just making terrible decisions. But like even that pass that was so popular that last week, there's no one else in the league that can do that. That would be tough for Mahomes to pull off.
Yeah,
and it's hard to say that, but that would be a tough one for him to do. So there's definitely some talent there, and they've got a good young receiving core as well, and I think they could be like a sneaky team in the AFC going forward. The other team, Jacksonville, they can't seem to get there and stay there. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to do it in the NFL or not. So I think the Chiefs are kind of in a league of their own at the moment. It looks like the AFC West is still our playground. I don't see anybody really contending with that. Even the Chargers, you know, like Justin Herbert, everybody's been talking about how great he is for years now. They've got him some receivers. They lost a couple of big key pieces. They got a new coach. I still feel no different about the Chargers. It's like same-o. So, I mean, it's yet to be seen, but I do think that the Chiefs are in a position to be at the top for the long haul.
I said that was the last question, but I lied, Steve. I need to know, do you have a score prediction for this Chiefs-Bengals game?
It's funny. I haven't put too much thought in it, but I do think it's probably like wishful thinking, but I do think this could be a game where it's not like a close nail biter. Like it might not be like a blowout, but I think it's going to be comfortable. I wanted to say like a much lower score, but I do think the Chiefs will go over 30 points. And I also think the Bengals are going to make something happen. So I'm going to go like 35-21.
Okay.
I like it.
I think the Bengals are going to find a way to score, but I think it's going to be very hard for them to stop our offense. As long as it's even looking halfway what it did last week, it looks like they'll probably hone in on trying to cut out the chunk plays from 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝙀 and stuff like that. But we just see exactly. He's so tough to stop the entire game if he gets the snaps, right?
That's just the guy that runs straight, right?
Yeah, and that's the best thing. It's funny that he said that because I think what we saw in week 1 was 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝙀 is exactly not that guy. Like a lot of the worries people had, like even myself about 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝙀, I think he kind of like tampered that a little bit with week 1. He showed you he's a smart player. He's a route runner. He knows where to be at. He knows when Mahomes wants to come to him. He tracks the ball well. Like, this kid's like starting off on the right foot, so I have high hopes for him. But just the offense is not just like a one-trick pony like the Ravens. Like we can beat a team in 2, 3, 4, 5 different ways, and I think you'll see that this week. They might not jump out there and just blow them off the field like I hope they do, but they'll figure out a way to score. And as long as the Chiefs can figure out how to get the ball into the end zone and with their opportunities instead of working Butker to death, I think we could see that a lot of games this year where the Chiefs win more comfortable than usual because they have that much more firepower on the offense.
Exactly. And no matter how it goes, getting that 2-0 tiebreakers against the Bengals and Ravens is everything that you can ask for. So it may be a tight game, maybe a comfortable one. We'll see. Either way, getting that 2-0 is the most important part of all of it. Steve, before you go, bro, let the people know where they can find you guys, what days, what nights your guys' shows usually go live. Give them all the information possible, brother.
All right. Well, I'm sure you guys know. If you don't, all Chiefed Up, you can get over there and subscribe. But yeah, we just do a ton of Chiefs content. Schedule-wise, we try to just get out as much as we can, honestly, whether it's long-form video, short-form. We like to keep it light. We like to keep it humorous, have fun with it. Why not? So never overly serious, but got a good community built up over there. Like I love doing live streams. Like the people that are in our chat, they're knowledgeable fans. They're all cool. They're easy to get along with. Like I feel like a new person could come in the chat, jump right in, and have a good time. And we're trying, since it's the season, we're trying to get back to, we normally do like Wednesday night live streams and then Saturday night. But that Saturday night, normally it can move around because we like to do pre-game. So the day before the game, we're going to go live that night.
Nice.
We call it a tailgate, right? But that's normally what we do. So yeah, it'll move around a little bit, but for the most part, we'll be live on Wednesday nights, Saturday nights, and putting out as much content as we can. And we like to go live after games too. We don't do a lot of game live streaming. I think if any of us wanted to, it'd kind of be pointless anyway. Cole's got that one grabbed by the nuts, right? So
he's doing all right.
I'm gonna let him do his thing, and then we're gonna get on and talk about it afterwards. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So come check it out.
Yeah.
Cheese fans are getting hooked up, man. You have the spoken that warms things up, and then the all Chiefed Up on Saturday nights gets to light the fire. You know, they get you guys led into the game on Sunday.
Day of content if you want it, and you know. I've said that before. I think that Chiefs fans, whether they know it or not, and they don't act like it sometimes, shame on you, but you are spoiled, especially when it comes to content creation. I mean, if you want to look at Chiefs stuff, I mean, you got pick a flavor. Everything, you know, like you guys, there's Jason Dunn and Marcus, like
Chief Concerns, yep.
Right. You got Cole, we get like who's on it. I mean, you got breaking, he's like a mini Adam Schefter. The guy never sleeps, right? So, like, obviously he's not breaking news, but, I mean, he's right there the minute it happens, doing a good job of that. And then I just feel like there's something for everybody in the Chiefs community. And I'll go look at other teams sometimes just kind of out of curiosity, like what are other content creators doing? Because you guys know you got to kind of stay on your toes and try to keep innovating and moving forward. So I'll go check out some other teams. They don't have anything, man. That would be like one show that sucks. And and then I look back at the Chiefs and I'm like, damn, I know they've won the Super Bowl the last couple of years, but there's just a lot. And there's new channels popping up daily. Yeah. It's wild, but it's awesome though. And I haven't met anybody in the Chiefs community that I don't like.
Right, sure.
I mean, there might be some some questionable ones, but we won't get into that. But for the most part, I mean, like even a scrambling armchair, if you just want to listen to somebody talk, like knowledgeable, a lot of, he might not.
He's got some insider stuff.
He's not going to get on there and like bells and whistles and entertain you to death, but I mean, you're going to get a lot of good information out of that guy, and just a flavor for everybody. So it's cool to be a part of it.
Yes, it is, man. You guys are very much leading the way, man. You guys have one of the best shows out there, if not the best, dude. You guys keep doing your thing. We're big fans of you guys out here. We love it when you guys have time to come hang out with us on a Saturday. Steve, can't thank you enough, brother. Half of our freaking viewing audience is probably from you guys, so we appreciate you guys. But nevertheless, you guys have a great week. Let's hope that this goes exactly as you said, because I would love to see a 35-21 victory from the Chiefs. But Steve Williams, congrats to you guys. Congrats to the success. Keep it going, brother. We'll talk soon, all right?
All right. Appreciate you guys having me on. It's always a good time. Sorry I was straggling in today, but I had to make it. So
it's all good. I sound like the freaking Godfather, so we're even.
All right, guys. You all have a good one.
That was Steve Williams, full that ass, as they say over there, all chiefed up. We appreciate those guys every single time they come on, man. Him and Mike. I remember Mike came on, I think it was right before the draft, and we had Steve on after the draft. And Mike, man, he was on here for like 2 hours with us. Trevor, you remember that? He was
yeah.
He was just going through his whole Rolodex of players and talking about Ricky Pearsall. He loved him some Ricky Pearsall. And yeah, they're just the best, dude. Those guys, I could not think of enough, man. They're great dudes. And he was right. There's a lot of we try to promote as much as we can from our platform. So many awesome shows, so many good content creators.
Of course, RGR, bro.
Yeah, man. Locked On Chiefs. Yep. Ryan Tracy and Daniel Harbs over there. Our guys at Kingdom Says Podcast, Kingdom Cast. Yep. Chief Concerns obviously is one of the GOATs. I mean, shout out to all of them, man. All the big names out there. He always mentioned how about them Chiefs. Cole's a friend. He's a good dude, and he obviously has made it huge in this business. So we love. Like he said, there's not a lot of people that you don't like in the business. I can't personally say that there hasn't been some that I have been best of friends with, but that's all right. It's how it goes.
It's part of it.
Yeah, we just make the most of it, man. And those guys that all chiefed up, I'm glad they're friends of ours because they're great dudes and great content creators. So if you're not already following them, go hit their show up, guys. They'll probably do a show tonight because they're just that wrapped up in it, man. They do so many shows every week, and I try to catch as many as I can, man. But they do really well. You'll see their videos on our page on Facebook as well. If you're not already subscribed to their YouTube channel, but you might as well go and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. Before they try to fucking demonetize them again for whatever stupid ass reason. Those guys are doing only great things over there. So, with that, Trevor, before we get to the people that speak it, we already gave our score prediction, so we don't need to do that.
Yep.
But I do want to get two key players in this game. How the Chiefs win this game. Who are going to be two guys that are going to be key to this victory? And if not to put you on the spot, but if there are two guys that you can think of, who would it be for you?
I mean, I think the obvious low hanging fruit is on the defensive side is Chris Jones. I think just Chris Jones. What I saw of him last week against the Ravens was he looks better than ever. Yeah. He looks incredible. Yeah. What he was absolutely. I mean, I know that O-line for the Ravens is trash right now, and it takes some time for them to be a cohesive unit. But he was having his way. Lamar is probably the toughest quarterback to sack. So getting him a strip sack on Lamar is always impressive. Especially as big as you are as Chris Jones is. He's not your typical like edge rusher, but he beat a guy on the edge to get that strip sack. So that was super impressive. I think he's going to carry that over into this week and get after a statue of Joe Burrow. I think he's going to wreak havoc. And then on offensive side, this is a Rashee Rice game. Rashee Rice had a good game, really good, over 100 yards and like 8 catches last week. I think Rashee scores twice in this game. They do not have the guys that can stop him over the middle. I think they're really going to try to stop. I mean, they were talking shit on Xavier Worthy already, so they're going to want to make a statement out of him. Fine, if they want to have him, they can have him. I think Rashee Rice is going to absolutely go off in this game. Travis Kelce could definitely have his game as well, but I think they're really going to try to neutralize Travis Kelce, as I think most game plans of defenses is to do that. But I think Rashee is going to continue to benefit of this over them, and I think those quick slants are just damn near impossible to stop. I mean, you're just hoping you can stop him after the catch and get a good tackle on him early. And if your first guy misses, you're fucked.
Yep.
Now you're hoping your safeties can stop him once he gets past that second level, right? So I think Rashee is going to get utilized more in the red zone this game. I think he's going to score a couple touchdowns because we know the dude knows how to find the end zone. So those are my two guys.
I'm gonna go with two guys that are young dudes on this team that are very impactful for two very significantly different reasons. One obviously on the defense, one on the offense. We know that Jamar Chase is going to be the premier target in this game, but he plays on the outside a lot, and that means that Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, Jamari Connor, and a collection of guys will be on him, which means, and our guy Steve just said on the show just a minute ago that usually it's like an odd guy that has a bigger game, and Isaiah Likely because they shut down Zay Flowers. So I'm expecting, like you said, Trevor, the second receiver on the team, what's his name?
Yoshevich or
Yoshevich is going to be the guy that I think gets a lot of targets in this game. I think that
he's good. I like him.
Him and Irwin and maybe Burton get some targets in this game, which is where Trent McDuffie comes in. And I think that Trent McDuffie gets his first interception of his career.
We need it, man. Let's go.
I think this happens now. I think that because Joe's struggling with throwing the ball with any precision and power. He's going to try to play it safe, but there's going to come a time in this game where he's going to have to try to force a ball downfield. And McDuffie in the slot in the middle of the field where Steve talks about the concerns, there's going to be a bait play. I think there's going to be a bait play that Spags draws up, baits Burrow into a throw that's dangerous, and Trent picks it off. That's what I'm expecting to happen in this game. Somewhere it could be the second or third quarter, but I think it's going to happen.
Or Joe Burrow could get hit while trying to throw the ball downfield back to
Chris Jones pops him, something like that. But either way, I think Trent finally gets to the interception column of his career, and that's where I think the game is really broken after that. When the Chiefs force that turnover, that's when it happens where it's like, okay, this game is going to get out of reach. On the offensive side, you can take your pick. There's been several guys I wanted to take, but because of the fact that I have such a profound respect for Trey Hendrickson, the one guy that I think that can wreck this game for the Chiefs and could pull an upset for the Bengals is Trey Hendrickson. I think that 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴 is going to be the key player on the offensive side. He was on an island so much against the Ravens and held his own. It means that Andy Reid trusts this kid. It means that Andy Reid believes this dude's going to do his job. And I think there was a lot of growth from 1 week to the next. Trey Hendrickson is not going to be easy. Trey Hendrickson is going to be very difficult. But I think Kingsley, if he holds his own against Trey Hendrickson, Patrick Mahomes is going to have a very clean jersey on his back.
Yeah.
And that means that Patrick Mahomes is going to do what he wants. And I think that Kingsley's going to hold his end. I'm not saying that he won't give up a pressure. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying that I think he's going to give Patrick time to create with his feet, to create with his arm, just enough to get scores. And that's what's going to happen in this game. So my guys are Trent McDuffie and Kingsley 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾.
Love it, man.
Let us know who you guys think are going to be the key players in this game. Give us your score predictions. Give us all of it. It's the perfect time to do so because it's time for Speak It. Trevor, what are the people saying?
All right, let's. I got 8 questions in here so far. I want to try to get through these fairly quickly. We're already about 2 hours and 12 minutes into the show, and I got to pee so bad. All right, so off the top, we got Dustin Orton. Number one question: with Brown officially out, who steps up outside the main 3 of Xavier Rice and Kelsey?
Juju. I think it's definitely Juju.
Has to be.
That's the veteran guy they brought back. He's the guy that knows the offense. He may not be the same player he was 2 years ago, but he's still a guy that I think is reliable. And if it's not him, then it's 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙾. I think 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙾 is going to be utilized in this offense more than people realize.
Very
like
underrated
signing.
Yeah.
I really like that signing a lot because he's a dual threat back.
Well, we loved McKinnon. He's better than McKinnon.
He's better than Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
He's bigger. He's about 30 pounds bigger than Jerick McKinnon.
He's an incredible pass protector.
Yeah.
He's gonna get a lot of those dump offs after he pass protects and lets the guy go and Pat can just dump it off. And the dude is so good after the catch. So yeah, Julia mentioned it earlier in the chat, and it was just a revenge game for somebody Piron. He spent his whole career with them. So yeah, I love it. Next one from Dustin Orton. Also, what are your thoughts on Hassan Reddick? We kind of touched on this, so I'm just kind of slide past that one. I think we had nauseum touched on that one earlier. He's going to probably stay with the Jets. Ruben DeCruz. Guys, will the Chiefs bring a wide receiver in? Again, we touched on this also, but just a quick touch on that. I think possibly, but I think if we're all being honest with ourselves, probably not. Outside of maybe the Amari Cooper situation, that would be awesome, but that could be maybe mid-season.
Yeah.
If, say Juju gets nicked up or something like that, and you're doing another, depth piece being injured. If it's not a guy from the practice squad, then Amari Cooper or Darius Slayton or one of these guys that are on deep wide receiver rooms on bad teams.
Mechie.
For sure. Yeah, Mechie, another guy I really like as well. That are in good systems and or semi-higher draft picks. I think the Chiefs absolutely would entertain that. Bump up BB. You guys think McDuffie follows Jamar around like Snead did? Do you think McDuffie matches up good with him? McDuffie did a little smaller, and Jamar is physical.
No, see.
Well, Jamar's undersized too. Let's not get it twisted.
But Spags doesn't play that style of defense where he has guys stalking players. He never had, very rarely did you see L'Jarius Sneed exclusively on one player. He mixes it up. And that's actually what I love about Spags, because when you just have one player on a guy, you can say, well, that's going to shut him down, but that also wears down that defender. And a lot of times that can lead for, big plays to happen unless you have like a Darrelle Revis or some legendary player.
Yeah.
Keeps the guy fresh when he's not playing against the number one receiver all 55 to 65 snaps. So I don't expect that at all. Trent McDuffie, to your point, is an undersized corner, but he's a physical corner, but he's going to play the slot. That's where Trent's going to exist. He's going to exist in the slot, and that's why I said that I expect him to play against the second and third receivers in this game. He's going to look at that second and third read. You're going to have Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, Shamari Connor, and a list of other guys that are going to play against Jamar Chase exclusively. And I think that you're going to see McDuffie trying to solidify and slow down the middle of the field and not let one of these other pieces get off. And so that's why I think that McDuffie's going to play a big role, because I think that Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, who've already done a great job against Jamar Chase in the past, are going to continue to do so. So they're not going to have to worry about putting Trent McDuffie out there and basically just stalking Jamar Chase.
Yeah, Jamar's going to be bracketed. That's what we did to them last time. We shut Jamar's ass down. Granted, it wasn't Joe Burrow the last time we faced him, but still, Jamar was bracketed the entire time.
If T. Higgins was in this game, it'd be a much different conversation.
Sure, but yeah, for sure. That's talk about physical. That's the more physical receiver on that team. So T. Higgins, the one that the size and strength aspect of things, physicality aspect of things, I'm more worried about him than I am Jamar. Jamar's so dangerous after the catch. That's where you have to worry about him. But as far as like just being with him, hip fluidity, and being with him, chest to chest, we're gonna bracket Jamar Chase all day. It's gonna happen. Tony Russell, next question, fellas, what's up? What do you guys think about the Tyreek Hill situation before the game? In my opinion, he showed us what not to do. Leaders are supposed to reflect leadership.
Okay. Well, look, we've had plenty of time to sit and stew on this. I think it's pretty simple because I think that there's a lot of errors on both sides. But here's where I always stand on things when it comes to law enforcement. Police officers in particular are paid specifically to de-escalate situations. And that is not what happened in this situation. Tyreek Hill didn't have the best attitude. Tyreek Hill rolled his window up. Tyreek Hill was obviously being very dismissive. And I won't defend him in that because Tyreek Hill himself admitted he should have acted a little bit better about this situation. That didn't give the cops the right to assault him and to throw him to the ground multiple times and then arrest teammates that were just coming to see what's going on. There was an abuse of power in that situation. It was clear as day. I listen, I've seen the comments. We posted this on Facebook. We posted this on Twitter. I saw a lot of ignorant-ass comments from people that said, well, if Tyreek would have just complied, none of this would have happened. I get when people are trying to say that he should have complied. I agree. Tyreek Hill agreed that he should have had a better attitude about it. It was a heat of a moment situation. But again, these people in badges are paid to be the ones that are professional because they're the ones that can dictate the life or death situation. Do they have the right to protect themselves? Yes. But Tyreek was showing no sense of violence. He was not coming at them, attacking them. If he got out of his car and started swinging at the cops, they got to do what they got to do. But the man was sitting in his car, had an attitude, then give him his ticket and let him be on his way. You don't have to have the final word. You don't have to be Big Dick Don. You don't have to show up him just because he's a black man in a nice car. It was clear and obvious.
And famous.
It was clear and obvious that cop that dragged him out of the car had a problem, had a vendetta. Yeah. And he was trying to put, even Tyreek himself said that when he tried to push him to the ground, he was explaining he had surgery. The cop started pinching him in the back of his neck to try to get him to fight him. Like, the cop was clearly a provocateur. He was trying to start something so he could do more. So that cop, I don't believe, should have his job. That's my personal opinion. Because people say, well, everybody makes mistakes. In that line of work, though, one mistake can lead to death. And it's not like you're getting my hamburger order wrong. We're talking about you handling life and death situations. In my opinion, that is a very cut and dry job. And cops are supposed to be at least trained to de-escalate situations that can escalate. And that cop in particular escalated the situation. So that's where he's wrong. But Tyreek Hill, yes, should have handled it better. There's no question about it, guys. So there's two wrongs in the situation, but there can be two things that are right. Both things can be true at the same time, though. That cop was wrong, should lose his job because he didn't do his job. He was not professional. And Tyreek Hill needs to know how to handle those situations a little bit better. So maybe the situation doesn't escalate, but that's not his job. It's the cop's job to de-escalate.
I got nothing. The cops are wrong. They were over-emotional, didn't know how to control themselves. That's it. Tyreek, it is what it is. He didn't do anything crazy enough to be deserving of what happened. Those cops were emotional men. They didn't know how to control themselves. Sucks to suck. Yep. Now they're on leave. Eat a dick. Next question is from Lonnie Pyramid. With the current news about Hollywood, are we secure we are in the wide receiver room, or do we need to add another addition? We touched on this. I just wanted to make sure these guys get their questions in. And if we touch on them, it is what it is. But
I'll just say this real quick, Trev. And all I'll say about this is, I do think if the Chiefs add a wide receiver to the room, it makes sense. It makes sense because they brought Hollywood Brown here to be an asset.
Sure.
But do I think the Chiefs will be okay if they don't? Yeah. So both avenues will work out. But if we find out, Trevor, the Chiefs go and get Mechie, I mean, oh, sweet. That just adds to the room. But I do think the Chiefs have enough right now to win the Super Bowl. Yes.
I too, to add to this conversation, I think there's a narrative too that also is important to the decision that whether the Chiefs go get another piece or not, or make a big move like a splash move like an Amari Cooper. I think if the Bengals, starting, obviously we're going to find out some things this week and the next couple of weeks after. If the Bengals start the season 0-4 or 0-3, or they start to really collapse, or Joe Burrow gets hurt again or something like that, I think there's certain like contenders that we look at as like our teams that we could have struggles against, or teams that we know we've competed against and have had close games in the postseason, or could be a threat in the postseason. If some of these teams start to like fall off, and the Ravens have a rough run and they start looking bad, and we still know we can get by and beat any of these teams without having to make a move, I think that can kind of sway where we're at on certain decision makings with that. Because I think we only make a move if we feel like we absolutely have to. And I think it's less about if we absolutely need one of those guys on our team, rather than, oh no, this team's looking really good, we need to maybe bring in another piece to really compete and counteract the success that this team's having. Say the Texans are absolutely going off and they're continuing for that one seed in the AFC. Maybe do we need to make a move to, because we're going to face them this year, so we're going to see how that looks. But if they're super hot and that trio of those receivers over there are incredible and they're really lighting the league on fire offensively, maybe we need to bring in an Amari Cooper or bring in another guy that's another electric offensive weapon. I think that has more to do with whether we think we can still be a good offense with or without Hollywood Brown, because we obviously know we can be. So I think if another team like the Texans or one of these teams really starts getting hot, we maybe need to counteract that with another piece of our own to kind of add to our repertoire as well. So that's another thing to think about that as well. Trish on YouTube, just to kind of fall right in line with this conversation, do you think the Chiefs bring up one of the wide receivers in the practice squad, Remigio or Washington or Ross, or do they try to acquire a wide receiver?
I think they're going to put feelers out there, because obviously we heard them talk about DK Metcalf was a trade possibility the Chiefs were interested in. They're gonna try to see what's out there, what's realistically available. And if they can snag one of these guys, they're gonna do it, because there's a reason why these guys are on their practice squad and not on their active roster, because they don't believe they're guys that were good enough to make the 53, but they do like them. So if they don't find any tangible or realistic scenarios out there to go and get a guy, then you're gonna see Remigio, you're gonna see Ross be brought up. That's what I mean. It's going to come down to one of those two guys. So I do think that's a very strong possibility.
Julie Gould chimes in. I'm just waiting for Trev to start doing the PP dance. I'm actually going as we speak. Catheter is in.
Yeah, I got the catheter.
No, I'm toughing it out. We're gonna make it. We got 3 more. Speaking of Julie Gould, here's their next question. In the column here, is this the game we introduced the league to Jaden Hicks? We teased it a little bit with our guy Steve. What do you think? Do you think we get Jaden Hicks out here, get some reps?
Yeah, I think the biggest reason why I think we see more Jaden Hicks in this game is because of the fact that I think you're facing a more pass-heavy offense.
Yeah.
You're going to need more safety help out there. You're going to need more. They're going to play, I think, a lot more nickel in this game.
We're not spying Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think they're going to play a lot more nickel in this game. I think Spags is going to really put a lot of secondary out there. You're going to see a lot more Chamari Connor. You're going to see a lot of Jaden Hicks. You're going to see a lot of those guys around the swarming the ball. Brian Cook, same thing. So. Yeah, dude, I fully expect Jaden Hicks is going to become a pivotal part of this defense. I have no worries or doubts about that at all. This kid's way too good. Like our guy Steve said, he's very Tyrann Mathieu-esque.
Yeah,
he's in a bigger body, too.
Him, yep.
He's about 3 or 4 inches taller.
Him and Chamari too, bro. That
Tyrann, I might add.
I love those guys together too, man. Chamari Connor and him, I love it. But so I hope so. I hope he gets some live bullets this weekend. James T. Kirk. Hopefully the Chiefs win tomorrow, but if they do, Can you see the Bengals imploding? Absolutely.
I think they already are.
That's what we're talking about. Like, I think that's that. If they start 0-3, 0-4, I mean, most teams that start 0-2 don't make the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I hate to
88% of the time.
I hate to sound like I'm already throwing dirt on, but you guys know before the season started, I did not have the Bengals in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. I did.
And I think I already feel the implosion before the season started, guys. And I think it all starts with Joe Burrow's health.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Shit, it's all the above. I mean, you check all
They're
checking all the boxes. All right, last one. James C. Kirk. The overhype of the Jets needs to end. Do you agree?
No, because I think this team's legit. I think they faced a very, very formidable opponent.
Patient, man. It's week 1. Don't
on the road. Aaron hasn't played in almost 2 years, and the majority of that game was close.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, the Niners were gashing him in the run game.
They dominated the clock, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the Jets had the ball for 24 minutes or something crazy like that.
Yeah, the Jets just couldn't stop the run.
Yeah, I think that game, you got to tip your cap to the Niners. The Niners just outplayed them. That's just, you got to give it to them. So I don't think it's the Jets are overhyped. They just got beat by a really damn good team that's been to, 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls? Like, come on, man.
I mean, yeah. The Niners arguably have the best roster. They've had the best roster in the league damn near for 3-4 straight years. You know, then they added Christian McCaffrey to the mix. So, I mean, yeah. So that was just a bad matchup, a bad start to the season, a tough environment. You know what I mean? You're going over there to play a team that was just in the Super Bowl, and they looked really good and one of arguably the best coach in football. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Jets are going to be fine. I still think the Jets are going to win the division. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be awesome this year. I think Garrett Wilson's an absolute elite weapon at wide receiver in this league. So I think the Jets will be fine, and that is all the questions, and I still do have to pee very bad. So let's get to these L's.
All right, Jeremy, what time is it? We got one more order of business to get to. What's it called, bro? Hold that L. Each every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who is ever holding those L's in the world of sports, deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week, man?
Listen, man, I was kind of going back and forth on what I wanted to do L-worthy here. There was quite a bit, but I'm just going to stick into the vein of this show and what we've been talking about and the matchup for tomorrow. Cam Taylor-Britt, the Bengals, like Steve was talking about, it was really crickets for most of the week heading into this game, and they just couldn't help themselves, man. You know what I mean? They couldn't help themselves. They had to go there. So and you know, you got Jamar Chase talking his thing. I just don't understand why these teams continue to give us bulletin board material. The Ravens immediately after the game were doing that. You know, I don't know what it is about the Chiefs that really gets this out of people. And I'm sure I don't know if you have anything to contribute. I'm sure you might do for this L, but I think I'm just going to stick to my prediction of this game. And I think the Chiefs are going to go out there and dominate the Bengals. And I think this just add the chatter, you know, before the game with Jamar Chase talking about they're the best team in the AFC. They're the team to beat, blah, blah, blah. I love it. And I'm here for it, and I'm glad they did this because this is just going to make this win that much more. I am predicting win. I fully expect the Chiefs to win. I don't see a scenario where we don't win. And then you got this to look back on as a hindsight funny to look back on tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. So Cam Taylor-Britt, the Bengals, the chatter continues, and this one's going to be probably the most enjoyable one because we're going to win by more than 3 this time. And so for that, all you Bengal heads, all you fans, you can thank Cam Taylor-Britt for this. You can thank Jamar Chase for this, but they're going to have to do me one thing, and that is hold that L.
I'm going to be the one that has to say some uncomfortable stuff right now about somebody that is getting defended a lot by Chiefs Kingdom, even Patrick Mahomes himself.
Oh, boy.
I like uniqueness. I like people that are original. I consider our content here to be that. All Chief Toughs the same way. Chief Concerns. Like I said, we have content creators out there that have their own style, their own way. They blaze their own trail. Sure, you learn from others, and there are things you can take from other shows, and you can implement those things. But at the end of the day, you're still yourself. In the famous words of the mom from Just Friends, be yourself. That's something that Dylan Raiola really struggles with. That's the quarterback for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And listen, this kid's a baller. I like his talent. And, He plays a lot like Patrick Mahomes, actually. And that's cool. And that's fine because there's a lot of people that stylistically will play like other players in the past or the current. And that's understandable. We watched Kobe Bryant. He mirrored his game off of Michael Jordan, and it was beautiful. We've seen guys do this throughout history, and it's fine. It's totally fine because if it's in you, it works. It's a part of who you are. But where it gets really fucking weird and cringy, quite frankly, is when you copy and paste the person and their entire persona and cosplay as them in real life. I've heard so many people tell me, well, Lance, this is kind of cool, because, when we were kids, we like to pretend to be Barry Bonds. We like to pretend to be, this player and this time.
Imitation's the biggest form of flattery.
Yeah. When you're 8, that's understandable.
Yeah.
I remember being a little kid and I wanted to be Ken Griffey Jr. I was a left-handed swinger just like him. And I, wore my hat backwards, and I tried to be like Ken Griffey. Manny Ramirez, same thing. I used to, when I hit home runs, I'd flip my bat and act just like him and act all cocky and all that cool stuff before it was actually acceptable in baseball. But imagine me being 24, 25, 26 years old, and I'm a big movie buff too, and I'm a big fan of Vince Vaughn. Imagine if I start going, well, my baby wants, my baby gets, huh? Start speaking all fast, do my hair all pompadourish looking, and trying to act like I'm 6'6" when I'm 5'9". Wouldn't that be a little weird to y'all? If I came out here and tried to look like Vince Vaughn and talk like Vince Vaughn, or another guy I can think of, Christian Bale, great actor. Imagine if I start going on the show and like, welcome to the Spoken Podcast. I am Lance Twidwell, and I now am Christian Bale. Imagine if I start doing that. How fucking weird would that be? And I go, oh, I don't know why people think I'm trying to be Christian Bale. I'm Lance. I've always felt like this. I've always talked like this. Like, imagine if I just copied someone else's persona as a man. It's weird. Dylan Raiola is not 8. Dylan Raiola is 19 and he's going to be 20 in about 7 months. And the video that I'm about to show you is proof of its hilarity and his deniability of it all and why I think that this guy is deserving of what he's about to get. Trevor, play it.
People think I try to be just like him, but honestly, I grew up, I played baseball, never liked football. As a kid, I always wore glasses. I've had this haircut since 6th, 7th grade maybe, and I didn't really know about Mahomes then. I mean, I had my own little kick to it, so I mean, it's not completely like him, but I wore 15 when I was my first year of football. Actually, Tim Tebow. I look up to people that have good character and are good at their good person. He was that guy at the time. I kind of went away from it. I went to 1 and then kind of just worked out to be 15. And as I started wearing it, it just, I felt like it fitted me. And I mean, it's a cool number, I think.
Yeah, it's this. Yeah. He doesn't even know he's doing it.
When he gets in his super competitive mode, he's locked in because it's almost like he's doing this to try and get, the next play in fast enough so he can register it.
Kind of when that momentum starts going in our favor, I want him to call the plays fast. But I think it's kind of like when the basketball team goes on a run and the other team has to call a timeout, you want to put the pressure on them, and I think that's when you start getting stuff going in your direction.
That's all just a coincidence. A guy who's 19 years old is saying he wore 15 because of Tim Tebow, who was in college 14 years ago. So you were 5, 6 years old, and you implemented your game after Tim Tebow and wore 15 because of Tim Tebow, and you had the same hairdo back then, coincidentally. Okay. Well, I don't buy it. Keep bowling, bro. Like, seriously, you're an awesome football player, and I do honestly and sincerely wish him the best. But be you. Be you. Be unique. You don't have to copy and paste Patrick Mahomes as a person. It's okay to be yourself. It's really weird when you go out there and you put on the Patrick Mahomes costume. It's really fucking weird, dude. So grow up.
Stop it.
do yourself a solid and do that, and do me a solid and hold it down. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Ruben Cruz, this was so cringe. Julia Gillian, that was rough.
You're fucking weird.
I'm not even trying to diss the guy, dude. Like,
no,
he's a young buck, but he's not 9.
It would be way funnier though if he was like awful.
Yeah, that would be
so fucking funny.
And everybody's like, well, Patrick doesn't care. What is Patrick going to say? Patrick's going to go there, yeah, I think this fucking bullshit. Don't be like me. Like, he ain't going to say that. Patrick's not going to go out there and talk shit. He's going to be all class about it, just like he was.
Fucking weirdo.
Little cuzzo and stuff. That's awesome. Because that's what Patrick is. But we got to be honest here. Someone's got to be honest about this shit. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
It's weird.
It's weird.
It's weird.
You're weird.
Come on, man. Like, be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself.
Oh, man.
Now, come on, honey. Mike is making snow angels. You know what I'm saying? Go watch
I'm just waiting for him to get his Brittany Mahomes lookalike girlfriend.
You know what's going to happen. He's in Nebraska. It's bound. Anyway, this has been a fun show. I am so sorry, guys, about my voice. Trying to make up for it by having an awesome guest today. Trevor held down the fort for sure. But
trying to hold down this urine also.
But shout out to Steve from All Chiefed Up. They have a great show over there. I hope you guys are following them already. And if you're not, make sure that happens. But this has been a fun show. You guys are great in the chat. I really appreciate you guys picking me up this week, man. I will be better next week, I promise you. But let's see the Chiefs go up 2-0, man. Get 2 wins in the AFC early in the season. And I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a great day tomorrow. Looking forward to it. We say it at the top of the show, say it at the bottom of the show. Go to YouTube, Spoken Podcast, subscribe, notify, share, all that stuff. We very much appreciate all those. When you guys touch all those buttons, touch the buttons for sure. But also get in the chat every single week, man. We very much appreciate when you guys get involved with us. It's all about community. As you heard All Chiefed Up, they said the same thing. That's what they love, is it's the same thing over there. So do that with us, guys, because that's the way it is over here as well. We like to believe that's how it should be in all the Chief community and all Chiefs content creators. We only speak for ourselves when we say that, and the ones that we represent and we're proud of to say we're friends and family with. So for that, for Trevor Twinwell, like I said, MVP today for sure. For the great Clay Wither that puts all this together on the back end of things, go check out his new video, Red Tribe Cinema. I'm Lance Twidwell, the Smoking Podcast. Episode 283 is done, finished, and finito. Until we're back here in 1 week's time, talking about the Chiefs going up 2-0, facing an NFC opponent, the Atlanta Falcons. We out of this bitch.
Later.
Bye, Dylan Raiola.